Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to join the panel, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box to join the discussion and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number one, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. In a moment, I'm going to transition across to the Hangout, as we do have a guest in there waiting already, so I'll introduce them. But before I do, be sure to share the show, as it increases the live audience, of course, but this in turn increases the chances of having a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you are new to the channel or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. And with that, I'll say a warm hello to Arwin. How are you doing, Arwin? Good to have you here.
Hey Nathan, thanks for having me again. Yeah, I'm doing great. It's
Pleasure.
a bit weird what just happened there.
Oh, porn bombing. Yeah, these things happen. I mean, I'd already built up the secondary channel to almost 1,000 subscribers, and I was waiting for the day that I'd get porn bombed and not get it down, or have something so controversial that it'd be taken down. I didn't think it was be porn that brought it down. I thought it'd be a bit more controversial, something that someone said, but there we go. Oh well, my grandiose illusions of what would bring the channel down weren't exactly fulfilled, but nonetheless, it's one of those things, Arwin.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a concerted effort to find an alternative strategy to defeat us because it's not working. And well, Lewis even announced it, like, yeah, this is not working. He was right. Even Globers can be right sometimes in their insights. And I think that this is just their new way, like, okay, we're just gonna do the same thing as we did with Dread and just completely try to just shut down the show as quick as possible. And sneaking, yeah, using their snipe systems to get it in so fast or unnoticed by you through how the system works, so they can get it done. I think that's what happened because I did actually see that stuff, like in the Hangout stream itself. I heard from others in the panel that they didn't see it, but yeah, they sneaked it through somehow. Oh well.
Yeah, like I say, I mean, it's a minor interruption for me. It's just, as I say, I've got 3 working channels, so, you know, it's no big deal. It's just a bit of a pain in the ass to reset up the stream key, which I've forgotten how to do, but I've figured that out in about, I don't know, 25 minutes. And we're back on the air, so it makes no odds, really. Not really. It just means I'm not on my main channel, so it may not get such a wide audience for 3 months, but so be it. That's the way life goes.
Yeah. Well, we've been up and running and disturbed for a very long time. For
Yeah, a couple of months. Not
have you
bad,
been
not bad.
shut down before like this, or?
It's my first ever strike of any description.
Right. So yeah, still 98 debates going uninterrupted practically. So it's an amazing run, I'd say.
Well, this is still number 99. We're still running. It just means I've got to keep the screens actually attached and the boxes of people's displays covered. Well, one minor change, you live and learn.
Right. So yeah, let's talk about how things are going with our progress that we alone seem to be able to even recognize. That is a real thing as we move forward through the machinations of the Globers. We're
Yeah,
figuring it out one by one, and I think, yeah, that they're really struggling with their own cognitive dissonance, basically. It's like constantly, yeah, what do you do when you know you're wrong, but you're not allowed by yourself to admit it? Like a psychological backup system that just prevents you from letting it sink in. I think that's what's working here, and that's what's driving them nuts, basically. And yeah, I don't think they have many machinations left, even. Because even now their CGI programs, or well, CGI like their calculation programs for the curve and everything, even we're seeing through that how that has been constructed with false formulas. Even that is becoming obvious. So yeah, what's going to be left for them? It's going to be very small. It's going to be their pure fantasies, their ball depiction with how the angle is supposed to work, and us constantly reminding them, but yeah, we don't actually see that curve. And then they see, yeah, but it's not literally what you see here, but we're going to use it despite that because it looks like a ball. And that's all that really matters to them, is that we're looking at balls, and that we're looking at balls while we are trying to imagine how the world works. I think that's their final objective, the only one that they got left. Because all their reasons just completely psychotic.
I'm only half paying attention. Sorry, I've just finished setting up a few things on the fly. That was
I
why I
think
went
the
there.
public
Paying
gets it.
attention. Sorry.
No problem. But yeah, I think we're making headway. I love how Chris Monk has basically moved in and became part of the Flat Earth team, and he's using all his his CGI expertise and knowledge of his of his work, of his engineering. And he's a smart guy. He really knows science, and he knows how to distinguish real science from machinations. And it's amazing what he's done, what he's shown us. And yeah, they don't like him for obvious reasons, of course, because yeah, an expert that's on the other side, it's the worst enemy of all. But yeah, we're making great headway, and in my mind at least, I know I'm not good at math. I've admitted this. Doesn't make me stupid. It's just my talent in that region is not that great. Takes longer for me to work these things out comparatively to some other people that get through it pretty quickly. They understand how the system works, how to use these formulas, but they're less likely inclined to actually understand what it's all about. They just know what they're seeing. They know how to translate it into function. They don't get it, probably. And yeah, I think there's falsifications going on. I think they are deliberately changing official measured data of how optics work and manipulating these formulas that have been perfectly devised through scientific measurement and everything, and then manipulating it to fit their ball system, like adding a few numerals, adding a few values, exchanging functions, like saying the refraction is not that strong and is actually the real curve. So they hide the curve, well, the part of the curve that you actually get to see right there, that slant part. They always love to zoom in on and say that's everything. That part, yeah, they call it, that's the literal curve, but that's actually the pretty heavy effects of refraction, which is, yeah, they hide how strong it is.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
think
I
that's
mean,
really what it comes down to with all this.
I was going to say, been joined by Tim Osman. How you doing? Good to have you here.
Howdy, 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 howdy.
So I was
Sorry
saying
that happened, but
Say again?
hopefully you can figure out how to stop that crap.
Well, I think I've got a workaround already. In the 30 seconds, I'll sleep on how to make it a little bit more refined, but
Cool. I got tons of suggestions if you need them, so but I promise I'm not trying to be your friend. Okay? We're already friends, Nathan. You can't stop it, so just embrace it.
yeah, man, I have.
Anyway, Arwen,
I'm embracing
you're
it.
exceptional at making claims and assertions that you can't back up or justify in any way possible.
You're very great at making declarations of the impotence of other people without actually backing them up.
Well,
Very,
you just
very self-confident
completely
when you say this.
were free to make declarations and claims right before I came. So I guess you were being hypocritical.
No, I actually made these claims and then I gave an example and told you exactly how it was manipulated. So no.
How is it? Okay, I must have missed that. So you were talking about optics,
Yeah,
right?
you
And then
seem to miss a lot, but yet you
no, I
it's
just
perfectly
joined because
okay
it
to
only
declare
started like 10
people
minutes ago. So please
incompetent and
go
all
ahead.
that. So,
Please go ahead. It just started, so go ahead. I missed you saying it because this just started for me.
oh
So
yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, okay. Well, I'll say it again. What I'm absolutely certain of by
Thanks.
now is that in the globe formulas that are used by you guys in your CGI systems to represent how it's supposed to work, I'm pretty certain that you are greatly diminishing the actual effect of refraction, and yeah, you're switching it out for the curve, the optical curve effect, and you're hiding what it's actually meaning, and you're manipulating the place and misrepresenting how it actually works. That's what I'm
Okay,
pretty certain
so
of
you
by now.
said you know something, and then you said you're pretty sure. So which is it first of all? We'll get that out of the way. Are you pretty sure? Is also
I had
we'll
my
go with that as well.
suspicions. I shared my suspicions with other people, including ones that know a lot more about formulas and about, well, these types of systems. And they actually looked into it and they confirmed it. So, yeah, they said, hey,
So you have now
this
anecdotal
certain approach
evidence. You
has
have
been
anecdotal evidence,
exchanged
and
into something
you don't know
different.
anything about
There's been
trigonometry,
tweaking.
right? So which formula have you falsified?
Excuse me? What formula have
Which?
I falsified? What?
Yes, yes.
What are you talking about? I haven't
You're saying
falsified
that
anything.
there's a false formula that you figured out with you and your buddies that know math, and you don't know math, but you figured it out or whatever. So can you go into that?
Well, I had my suspicion. I laid it out in front of the group, and
Uh,
they looked into it themselves, and they said, "Yeah, I found something that was wrong. Something that's not
okay,
supposed to be
what
like that."
something is that, and what equation are you speaking of?
I
You're
don't know
speaking
the
very
equation,
vaguely.
and I don't remember the exact wording even
Ah,
because it's
okay.
that stuff is, and it was spoken like live. It wasn't typed into the chat, so I can't
So we
look
have
back.
claims, assertions, and
Yeah,
anecdotal
yeah, and
evidence
I'll
as
get back
proof.
to that. So that's perfectly fine. Like you can now say, "Oh, you don't have it right now," and "Oh, it's all bullshit. It's all
I think
just
I would remember if
wasting
I
of
like
time." That's
falsified like
fine. You
curvature
can do that,
formulas or something,
but
right?
we
Wouldn't I
will bring it
remember?
out eventually. It will. It'll show. Don't worry.
Okay, well, your suspicions were not proven here today because you forgot
No, I
what
know. I know.
formula
I
you
don't have it
falsified,
right
first
now.
of
Yeah,
all.
it's great.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but
So that really shows that you're kind of lying,
no, it
actually,
doesn't do
Arwen.
that at all. It just shows that uh, I found out something and I don't have everything here to present it to your satisfaction level, which
No,
is
you haven't presented
unreasonably
anything
high.
but claims,
But
assertions, more
considering
logical
everything that's
fallacies,
happened,
and
I think that
anecdotal
people can make up
evidence.
their own minds in who to trust in this, and they will be looking out for this.
I'm just being real with you, Arwen. You got nothing, okay?
You're never real.
I'm being extremely real, and I think people that know me and are not on the flat earth
No,
side
you're a
understand that I'm
total
a real
actor, and you
person.
don't even have a personality except for your
I
nastiness.
will tell you when I'm wrong or when I learned something or anything. I
Yeah, you
love
will
when I'm
display
corrected because
any
the next time I will
strategical
not say it incorrectly.
attitude that you can to make yourself look like you're the
No, I don't
authority.
care. What I do care about, Arwen, is that people are making money off of ignorant people that go around
Yeah, I'm
and
making money.
pretend
Oh
that the
my
earth is
God, we're
flat,
getting
okay?
so rich here from doing all this. It's incredible.
I said people. So like
Yeah, and
people like
people like
Bloodbusters
Nathan,
setting up a
oh man, he is so
501c3,
rich.
other
It's
people.
incredible. All these people making money of us. Do you think they're not making money of all our other things that we're being forced to do in this society?
That's called a neither here nor there argument. It's a
No,
logical
it's
fallacy.
comparing it with the rest of everything that people can do.
It's a neither here nor there argument.
No,
Okay.
it's just saying
So
it
we can
doesn't
we can
really
go through all
matter
the trivium if you want
if
because
we're
I'm very
doing
good at it.
things here doing debates, making our arguments, doing this, or doing some job somewhere else in a company that has nothing to do with this, you're going to be making money for people. Rich people that
I'm not
are
making
probably going to
money
make
at
a lot
all.
more money in comparison than you from your work. And that's going to be what's going to happen. Doesn't matter where you go. If you go in the Hangouts or
How
if
do you
you're going to
know what I
work a
do,
job.
though?
Because
How
that's
do you
how
know
the
what I
society has
do?
been designed for us. So
How do you know what I do and what I make, Arwen?
I know what you do right here.
Yeah.
I know what you talk about. I know where your specialties seem to lie. I think I get a pretty clear picture of who you are. You know
Well,
people
you're
by their
crystal
deeds.
clear, right? You've forgotten what formula that you falsified. Okay, you bring
Yeah,
up
I know
anecdotal
that too.
evidence. You
But
talk to a
I
group. You don't
didn't
know who they are.
falsify anything. So you
You're
keep bringing
talking
in
out
that
your
word
ass,
out of
Arwen.
nowhere every time, but that's just smear.
Arwen, you're talking out your ass. Okay, you're lying to the audience. So please stop lying to the
No, you're
audience. Okay.
smearing me. You're smearing me, and you don't have any foundation to do it.
Yeah, I do, because we
No,
just
you
went
don't.
through your argument, and all you had was, like I said 3 times now, anecdotal evidence and claims and assertions. Okay, that's not an argument. Okay.
No, but I'm not arguing about it. You're the one arguing. I'm just saying, look, this is what happened. I got this. It'll be coming. And you're just saying, oh, you're so stupid. You don't have it. And I say, yeah,
I didn't say
I
you were
don't have it
stupid,
yet.
Arwen. I said that you're now lying because you
Oh,
don't
lying,
remember what you
stupid,
falsified. You don't
whichever.
remember
It's
which
either, it's
equation.
always one of these. It's always that. So it's always the same thing that comes out of
Well, I
you.
can put you in that dialectic. Okay, it's very easy to, Arwen, because you've placed yourself in it. All
You
right.
can put everyone in that dialectic. It's very easy for you to be very mean and to put people in the lowest place that you can imagine them to be. It's
Listen,
very
some
easy for
people
you to do
grow
that and
from
to
me.
express that
Some
with
people
your
understand what I'm doing
superb
here, and they grow. Okay.
self-confidence and your
Others
fluid
play the victim
voice,
card.
and
Okay.
it's great
Others play the
speech
victim card.
talent.
You
It's
are on the
very,
victim card
very
end.
effective
Okay.
matter of making people
You can
look
learn from
stupid. They
me,
don't deserve it.
or
You're
you
very
can
good at
be
it.
a victim. Okay.
You're very good at
That's
what
it.
you do.
That's the dialectic I'm putting you now in. Okay. You can learn from me and your mistakes, or you can play the victim, as you will continue to. Okay.
I'm not playing the victim here.
You absolutely are.
Why? How am I playing the victim here?
Because I've come on, I've completely dismantled what you were saying right before I came in, and now you're saying that I'm slandering or I'm
No, you're not
smearing
dismantling
you.
anything. You're just smearing people, and I'm defending myself with reason. That's not taking a victim position. That's called self-defense. That's actually responding to your accusations and slander constantly.
Arwen, we're on
You're
complete
calling me a
different
liar. You
levels.
have no foundation whatsoever. You haven't even actually made the accusation of this lie clear as to what I'm actually lying about. You're just calling me a liar, just shoving that word in there every time.
You don't know
You're
what you're
smearing
talking.
me.
You said that you've gotten with a group of people, right? And you've optically all this stuff about how you've
Yeah.
basically falsified some curvature equation or
No, I
something.
didn't hear
You
you
don't
do it
even know.
again.
You don't know the.
Falsified. Yeah, no, I didn't
Wouldn't
do
that be
that. I
falsification?
figured out how you guys falsified it.
No.
Stop
Okay,
turning the
so can you
words
explain
around.
it?
You're trying to do a switcheroo here in my face. I'm not
No,
that
can you
stupid.
explain it then?
I'm
I
not
tried to get
blind,
you to
dude.
explain it, but you're like, I forgot and I'm not ready or something. It's
No,
like,
I
well,
just said
you'd
I
think you would
don't
know it if you're
understand the
talking about it.
formulas. What I said is I figured out what's wrong here, how it's working,
So
and
can you
the
explain that?
person that I shared this information with knows
You're
a lot
telling
more
me that
about
you
math. He
figured
looked
something
into
out,
it
but
and
you
he
can't
figured out,
explain it.
yes, there's something seriously wrong. This formula is not
Can you
how it
explain
should
it?
be.
Can you explain it?
No, because he didn't
No,
get into it that much. It was very late at night, and I will
you're
get back
lying,
to him
Arwen.
about it. So
You think I was born
he's
yesterday? You're
working.
talking to
He
Timmy
was
Haas
working
tonight,
on
okay?
his model back then of the Isle of Man. It took a lot of work, and that's what he was working on. This guy is very busy, so
So it's a person now, and it wasn't a group of people like you
yeah,
said
it's Chris
before? I
Monk.
mean, come
It's
on.
Chris Monk.
Come on.
It's Chris
Okay,
Monk.
so it was a group of people though, right?
Well,
Now it's Chris Monk?
Nathan was there. Anthony was there. I think Ranty was there as
So you're
well.
talking about one of the hangouts, and you just kind
No,
of
this
threw
was a
some ideas
Skype
at
call.
him, and
No,
now
there
you
was a Skype
falsified
call. It's not public.
everything.
It was a Skype call.
Arwen, you live in your own delusions, bro. Okay, I'm
No,
trying to help
you're.
you here.
I don't know where you even get this. Like, why do you pull this out? It just has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. You're just trying to smear
Okay, let's
me.
change the subject,
You're an
Arwen. Let's change the
agent.
subject. I think that
You're an
I've
evil,
figured it out.
politicizing agent, and you're
Evil?
constantly smearing everyone. Everyone is beneath you. You're a vile person. You need to go away.
If you had your way, I would, right? I mean, if all flat earthers had their way, I wouldn't be here, right? They would stay in their own echo chamber where they can go on and say any assertion, any claim,
No,
and not
I'd
have to
love
deal with
to
people that
speak to
want
actual
evidence of their
honest
claims.
people that will talk about their belief of the globe and will talk about their research, because
Okay,
I
let's
love
talk about
this
the
research.
globe
I
then.
love this whole system, how it actually works,
Let's
how
talk about the globe. I love the
extensive it
globe.
is. But you're not honest about anything. You're just
So what am I not
just
honest
writing
about?
the machinations. You're
What am I not honest
politicizing
about?
everything. You're just here to make flat earthers look stupid. That's your job.
No,
You're
flat
not here
earthers
for
make
science.
themselves
You're
look
not here to
stupid.
figure out the truth. You're not
Okay,
here
it's
to
inherent
concede on
of flat Earth.
any error on your side ever. Just
No,
walk
I've been
around
wrong
it,
before,
talk
but I
around
learned
it,
from my
keep
error.
distracting. You're
Okay,
very good at that. So I don't trust you with anything. You're not a scientist.
I'm
You're a
not asking you to trust
politicized
me.
agent, and you're just here to smear flat earthers.
No, I'm here to help people like yourself get
Yeah,
out of their
I
own
don't need
delusions that
your
they
kind
put
of help. I
themselves
don't
in.
need your mind control help.
The globe, then, Arwen.
Yeah, sure.
Let's talk about the globe. What is wrong with the spherical model in terms of the latitude and longitude system in accordance with the celestial sphere that has been known for hundreds, if not thousands of years?
Yeah, I love that.
What's wrong with it?
Well, the wrong thing with it is the base assumptions that any of the heavenly bodies are physical objects to which you have no proof.
What
Only
would it make a
speculation.
difference? Well,
Very
let's
extensive
go.
speculation.
Okay, let's go with that. Let's go with that. So, what would it make a difference if they were not physical objects? What difference would that make?
Well, then, if they're not physical objects and if they're not in literal locations, well, at that point, you can't use them for any type of triangulation or any type of distance relating or size relating experiment to figure out the shape of the Earth.
So, what evidence do you have that they're not physical objects then, Arwen?
No, I'll turn that the other way around and that say that you don't have any evidence that they are physical objects.
Okay, well, your definition of physical objects, I wouldn't be able to basically triangulate things and all this kind of stuff. So I'll tell you that you could do this yourself, Arwen. You can
No,
move
I know.
69
Yeah,
miles.
I
Oh,
know
okay.
trigonometry. Yeah, I know the whole
Oh, no, no,
story.
no, no, no.
No.
Very simple. Very simple stuff. Very simple stuff. Look,
Oh yeah, I
you
have to
can move
point the
60.
laser at
Okay.
the moon, and that's reflected. It'll tell
No,
everything.
no, no.
No?
Let me speak before you try to put words in my mouth, okay,
Okay.
Orban? So you can move 69 miles, right? And you can look up at a star, say Polaris or wherever you're at. You can
Yeah,
pick
I
any
know that.
star
Yeah,
in the sky.
longitude,
Listen,
latitude.
listen, just listen. Okay, this is facts of reality. If the stars are intangible, if they're tangible, it doesn't matter, okay? So you can move 69 miles north, south, east, or west, okay? All of the stars will shift 1 degree. It's very beautiful. 1 degree, right? So you go further 69 miles, all of them will shift another degree, right? So if you go right back to where you were, they're going to shift right back, okay? So this is I guess evidence that they're physical objects and that they can be
No,
triangulated.
that's complete, utter bullshit. The only thing you
Let's not
got
cuss.
is
First of all, how
degrees.
is
You
it bull
just
though?
got degrees. Only thing you have is a heaven that seems to correlate its rotational angle, it's all angles, with the position on the Earth. So there
So
is a
how else
tie-in.
are you
That's
going
the
to,
only
okay,
tie-in you
so how
have.
else are you going to determine if they're physical or not then, Arwen? Are you just saying they're not
You're
physical just to
not.
say that or?
You want. That's the whole thing. You
Okay, so
want.
I had evidence that you could go and
No,
corroborate.
you don't
Okay,
have
so what
evidence. You
evidence
only
do you
have
have that they're
evidence that
not
the
physical
angles
objects, Arwen?
are correlating to the location on the Earth. You only have
What
angles. That's
objects
all
do
you
you
have.
have?
It's the only
What
thing you
object?
have. You don't have
What
any literal
evidence?
distance. You don't have any literal size. No proof
Doesn't
at
matter.
all.
I'll give you that the Earth is geocentric. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'll give it that to you. Still a sphere, okay? And these
No,
observations
it's
that I'm
not a
telling
sphere
you
because there's no
are still
curvature. A
empirical.
literal sphere would not allow to see that far as we've shown you many times.
Okay, well,
and
anytime that you
no
see what
fake
looks like
refraction
curvature,
formula can
you're
undo
just
the
gonna
literal
say
curve that you get to see.
that it's refraction or whatever, right? Curvilinear
How you doing, Brenda?
perspective is a
Can
new
you
one.
hear
You
us?
should go with that. It's a good one.
How you doing, Brenda? Good to have you.
Good afternoon or evening.
Earth to Brenda.
Hey,
I
Brendan.
said hello. Can you hear me?
Howdy.
can.
You can hear you now.
Okay.
So yeah, he's going into the tangible, untangible, physical, and non-physical stars. Do you have anything to add to
Lack
that?
of proof on your side that they are physical objects.
Well, how about your assertion that they're not physical? Okay. How about that? So do you have any evidence? I'm not going to ask you for proof because I know you don't have any. Do you have any evidence that they're not physical objects? Go ahead.
Yeah, plenty.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Well, just look at how the moon responds, for example, and
We're talking about
say
stars,
how
first of all.
all the
Stars.
heavenly disks rotate around their own center, which makes no
What?
sense physically
not-
at all
do-
that they do that.
Rotation makes no sense physically.
No,
Yeah.
rotate exactly around their axis, exactly pointed at
What?
the observer. It's
We're talking about
like
stars,
a
are we?
clock, like a clock to the observer. They rotate around their middle point clockwise. The moon
Isn't
does,
rotation a
sun
physical
does,
thing?
all of it does.
Isn't rotation a physical thing? Can non-physical things
It's
rotate?
illogical for any physical object out there, if they were all rotating, to rotate exactly at that angle pointing at us, at the observer. It is
So what are we talking about
absolutely
exactly? I thought we were
impossible
talking
for
about the
such a thing
stars.
to happen
Hold
physically.
on, I thought we were talking about the stars first of all. Now you're going on about rotations and all this
No,
kind.
I'm
Are you
going
saying that
on
the
about the
stars are
actual
rotating?
behavior of the heavenly objects and the observations that we make and the conclusions that we can draw from those.
So
and the
they're
likelihood
rotating? What do you
of
mean by
those
rotation?
observations correlating with how physical objects could behave in theoretical scenario as the globe space
Are you talking about like
cosmos.
the spin is in rotation, or are you talking about the actual
No, I'm not
stars
talking
rotating
about
themselves?
theoretical spin or even the spin of the heavenly
Well, then what are you talking
globe
about,
around.
dude?
I'm talking about the sun, the moon, the heavenly body disks, the things that we get to see, how they rotate around their axis perfectly straight. Like, how do you say?
Well, we were talking about the
getting
stars,
the right word.
Arwen. The stars, dude.
No, I'm talking about the moon and the sun. They're also heavenly.
Okay, well, we were talking about something, and then you just kind of veered off into the sun and the moon.
You asked me for proof that they are holographic. Well, there you go. This is one of my proofs.
That's not proof.
Yeah, it is
okay?
proof.
It's not
It
even
is
evidence.
The superb unlikelihood of physical objects rotating in that manner, all of them, exactly in accordance to the observer, is absolutely abysmal. It is impossible for such a thing to occur theoretically. You could not simulate that with all
So
the
it's
models
impossible
in the
even
world.
on the theoretical level, Arwen. It's impossible on the theoretical level. Do you even understand what you're saying? Or are you just like saying catchphrases or something?
How you doing, Sleeping Warrior?
No, it's
Good to have you.
theoretically impossible for physical objects to all rotate exactly
You can
on an
theorize
angle
anything.
in accordance to the
okay?
observer around the Earth like that. If
You
there
can
is
theorize
gravity, if there is
anything,
orbit,
Arwen.
this is impossible.
You are completely theorizing everything that you say. Okay, nothing
I'm
theory
theorizing
on
with
theory
the
is impossible.
observations that we get to see, the actual observations everybody can make.
I had to go take
So-
the pot off the stove. So where are we at now?
I don't know, dude. This
On
is
the
insanity.
rotating disks of the sun and moon.
Yes,
The
R1 is
sunspots
clearly
rotate
mentally ill, yes.
clockwise exactly, not like halfway, like we see Saturn in images, for example, that it would go over it. No, it rotates around a circle like a clock, exactly like that, in accordance to the observer every time. All
You're
of them.
talking about star trails? And
No, I'm talking about the sun and the moon.
conflating things.
Heavenly
He's talking
bodies.
about rotation, and then really he's talking about the spin, and then it's just
The
really
rotation
interesting.
of the disk that we get to see, like sunspots
What disk?
on the
What
disk of the
disk?
sun, they rotate clockwise every time.
what are you
And
talking
so
about?
does the moon.
Darwin?
Even you can
Darwin?
see with
What
the
is it?
moon
What is it,
even easier
clockwise
because of the darkened
rotations?
side. It rotates with it.
You don't even know what you're
Yeah, I know
talking about, dude. You're
exactly
trying to
what I'm
falsify
talking
something
about. I
and you
know
don't even understand it.
exactly what I'm talking about.
Arwen?
Clockwise rotations of the sunspots on the sun.
Yeah.
You've lost
No, I
it.
haven't lost
If you
it.
ever
No.
had it, okay, you
Go
lost it,
to
dude.
what's his name now?
This,
Truth Seeker.
so the sun is a ball, right?
She has hangouts where she made this video herself with her own very
So-
physical, like a telescope, not a digital telescope.
Yeah, I know. I've seen her.
Yeah.
I've seen her.
Well,
I've seen
that's
her
true.
videos.
That's real
She's
stuff.
almost as crazy as you are.
Yeah, doesn't matter what her state of sanity is. What matters is that the work that she actually brought forth, the things that she recorded and then presented as proof.
Okay,
bear with
well,
me, guys.
what
We've been
what
joined
she
by a
was
new guest.
talking.
Sorry, bear with me. We've been joined by Channel Q. How you doing, Channel Q? Good to have you.
Happy New Year to
Okay,
you too.
good to have you.
Okay, what she was talking about, Arwen, was a phenomenon that we can observe of sunspots tending to get pulled towards the equator of the sun because the sun is a hot ball of gas. So
No,
the
that's not
some
what
of
she
the
says.
bands, yeah, I know, some of the bands move at different rates. So sunspots that are in a lower or higher latitude on the sun will have a tendency to get pulled towards the equator because that's moving faster. And so you get this turbulent action. I remember watching her videos and then looking up the phenomenon that she was talking about. And it is something that is known and discussed by scientists. In general, sunspots
Astronomers.
rotate about the Earth, and then they sort of gradually get moved because the sun is a hot ball of gas. It the different latitudes move at different rates.
That's a very interesting scientism
It's not
explanation for
scientism.
that, but
Jeez.
it doesn't detract from what the actual perception shown. That is that they are disks and that they rotate around. The
Yeah,
center
I saw her.
clockwise,
I saw
and
her
the moon
video. I
does
saw
it,
her
the
video.
sun does
Her
it.
plots.
So
And so
Arwen,
she,
Arwen, do you know what Arwen? Let me just ask you. Do you know what lunar libration is?
no, but you're gonna explain it to me, and then
Okay, so do we only see one side of the disk,
go ahead.
moon? Just wondering.
No, I'm not in. Look, I'm not into all of these machinations because I'm not obsessed with trying to prove the ball.
So you've
I don't
debunked
need
things.
that religion.
You've
I don't
debunked
care about all of that.
these things.
I just
and
learn
you
about
said
it
that they're
because
not
you
physical
present
objects,
it to me every time as some
and you
cockamamie
don't know
explanation as to
simple
why it's
things
a
about
ball.
them.
So then I have to
What do you
learn
know?
it just to be able to defend myself
So
against
so
your
go ahead and go to
machinations.
google.com. Go to google.com and learn about lunar
No,
libration. Liberation.
it's
Okay,
very
libration is something that
interesting.
you could observe yourself if if the moon was a popsicle. Doesn't matter, okay? So go look it up and go figure it out and and disprove it, okay? Because we can see more than 59% of the
Why
moon,
would I
about
want to disprove?
59%. Because you're supposedly disproving things at the beginning of this conversation,
Why
and
won't
then
I?
when we
Why
get
would
through the
I
meat
want
of
to
it, you can't
disprove the
disprove
thing that you're
anything
now trying to
because
tell
you're
me to learn about? Why would I want to
because
do that?
because it
because
disproves what you're saying. Okay,
and because you
Really?
want to
How
know the
does it
truth.
disprove? It says it doesn't
Know
actually.
the
It's
truth.
not. We don't get to see a disc that actually rotates around its center point clockwise.
Right, I'm just going
Does
to
it
introduce.
disprove that?
Sorry,
Does it
Aaron, I'm
say
going to have
that's
to
not the
interrupt you. I've waited
case?
too long. So we've been joined by Flamingo. How you doing, Flamingo? Can you hear us?
What about me?
Can y'all hear me?
I did try and introduce you earlier. How you doing, Sleeping
Hey,
Warrior?
Anthony.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I
Hey,
can-
We can.
You're getting paid, Riley. So that should be enough.
Just want to ask Arwen.
God, a person
about,
gets paid.
go
Oh
ahead,
my
Flamingo.
God,
Go
that
ahead,
we can't
Flamingo.
have that in this world.
What's up,
Everybody
Flamingo?
has to be
Go ahead.
poor.
I want to ask Arwen about our observations that we make, like on the moon. Can't prove it because we can't touch it, but it certainly appears to be physical. picture right now
Yeah,
that
I know.
took
But
personally
appearances
that-
deceive. It's only proof that you can rely upon in science. Sorry.
But you can compare it to observations on Earth, such as mountains with shadows behind them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
So
Same
what's your
standards, then we
explanation?
can't prove the
No,
Earth is
you can
physical.
compare
Why?
it.
Just because
What's
we're
Doesn't
your
standing
prove
on it.
explanation
anything.
What's your
People in
explanation
airplanes
then?
can't prove the Earth is physical because they're just looking at it, right? They can't prove it
No, but
until
they
stand
can
on
when
it.
they
Is that
get
what you're
out of the
saying?
plane. So that's a non-comparison. It's
Been
stupid.
joined by epistemology for truth.
same
How are you doing
People cannot
epistemology?
go
Hold on,
up there
Owen.
and
Hold
actually
on,
prove
Owen.
it's
Hold on, hold
physical
on,
unless
hold
you're
on,
NASA.
hold on. How are you doing epistemology? Good to have you.
That's a logical fallacy
Welcome,
of
Just bear with me
ignorance.
1 second. I just want to say hello to the new guest. Just takes 10 seconds if you all just button it for just a few moments. How are you doing epistemology?
Howdy. Sorry about what happened to you earlier there, Nathan.
I was expecting it to happen a
happened
lot
to us
sooner,
earlier?
so I'm quite pleased with how long the room was on the main channel. But 3 months from now, it'll be back on the main channel. Won't make any difference.
What happened?
Got porn bombed, so
Wait,
we're on the
you-
secondary channel now.
you
Not that anyone will notice.
Explaining
Oh,
ignorance.
What I will
That's
say
right.
is, if you're in the
That's
chat, you probably
fallacy.
don't realise you're not subscribed, so subscribe, because this is actually the backup channel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So Arwen, if somebody lived on a balloon that was floating above the Earth, and they were born and raised there, and they lived their whole life there, how could they know that the Earth was real?
They couldn't.
They
Unless
can't
they jumped
know.
off.
You can't know that the Earth is real if you lived on a balloon.
You can only know, absolutely know, if you can actually prove it.
Hey guys,
And
we are
theorize all you
we are
like, but
questioning the
until you have the
ramblings
actual
of a
proof, you can't
madman.
know.
Riley, are
can
you here? Do
imagine
you
that you
do you
know.
want to change the subject, Riley, by any chance? Are you here for any of this?
No, you have to suffer through it some longer.
No, I'm
No,
just
I'm
saying,
here.
but
I'm
like
just-
it doesn't. It's
I am
pointless to
here.
talk
I'm
to
just
you.
waiting for a
But
gap.
okay, yeah,
So
go ahead, Riley. Go ahead.
Arwen,
No, it's
Arwen-
okay. Arwen's on a roll. I'll leave him with it.
Okay.
So Arwen, even if you land the balloon, how do you prove that the Earth is material?
Well, if there's something to land on, and the balloon is physical, and
How
you
do you
can
prove-
get out of
prove?
balloon and actually step on there, then you can prove that
How is
there's
that
something
proof?
physical you
How's,
landed
how's
on.
that proof? How's that proof? That's not proof.
It is proof to you.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is,
How?
because you're the one doing it.
No, explain to me how it would be proof for me to land that balloon.
That's how it works.
I would lived all my life on a balloon.
Yeah, no, you can't prove that it will actually work until you do it.
Well, how can I land the balloon? How do I prove that the ground that I'm standing on is real? That's your
By
claim.
touching it,
Maths.
by measuring it
How
up.
does that prove? How does that
By
prove?
touching it and by measuring it up.
I could be deceived though, couldn't I?
Well, only if you would be severely hallucinating and actually not
I
where
could
you
be.
really were.
I could be though, couldn't I?
Yeah, of course you could.
I could be. So that wouldn't be proof.
It all depends on whether you find out or not.
How would I find out if I
Yeah,
can't
that
know?
you are actually hallucinating when that happens.
How would I know? How would I know the difference?
You wouldn't until you would.
I wouldn't know the difference. Therefore, I couldn't prove that I was on the ground, could I?
Congratulations, you prove now that you can't basically prove anything. That includes the ball, by the way.
Now we're getting into a solipsism argument.
Well, I'm showing how absurd his position is, that it leads to solipsism.
It's not absurdity, it's honesty, and it's real logic.
When you deny everything except your immediate sensory input as evidence for something, then you inevitably have to retreat into solipsism. See, normal people
Well, that
don't
depends
need
on how
don't
much,
need-
whatever I am confronted with, how much of that I would draw into doubt, and for what reason. A terrible pessimist and somebody that doesn't trust anyone, a fearful person,
You
they
doubt
would
if you
definitely
doubt yourself.
go totally solipsis. So yeah,
Yeah, that's what your argument is.
no, that's not what my argument
Yeah,
is.
it is.
At all.
You said that I can't know that the Earth is made out of matter if I'm in a balloon.
Arwen,
No,
you once
I'm
made the
not
argument to me
saying-
that
Hey, if you're not there, if you can't touch it, you can't prove it.
Arwen, you suggested to me that the celestial bodies could just be individual holograms that are put in our brains by a mischievous creator force. That's solipsism right there. This whole idea that you're in
That's
the
your wording. No, I'm just
brain
saying
in a
it's
vat.
part of
That's
the design.
bro.
I'm saying it's part of the design.
Part
It's
of the
just part
design
of
is that
side
you're going to be
effect.
fed. You're going to be fed.
It's probably
nonsense
because of
images into your
the
brain that make
eyeballs.
You think something is there when it's not. Right?
Sorry, again.
One of the arguments that you made was that we each have our own individual projection of the celestial bodies that goes into our head by our mischievous creator force.
No, I'm not saying mischievous. You're the one that's constantly dragging that word in.
No. But you said that he was there to fool us, so that's why I'm calling him mischievous. As you said that he was doing it purposely to fool us into thinking we live on a sphere.
Well, fooling.
Because you acknowledge that the celestial bodies cannot work on a flat
It depends on a matter of perspective and priorities, like long-term priorities. What if he wouldn't have done this?
So you're going to apply perspective to hard solipsism.
I don't see what kind of statement you're really making here.
I mean, if you're going to go down the solipsism route, then the Earth could very well be flat.
Could be a ball too.
It also could be.
Could be anything. Doesn't really matter anymore then.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I don't go there. That's your inevitable route. That's the only place that you can eventually go.
No, but I don't ever choose solipsism as a solution for anything.
Yeah,
I go into the world.
You can keep on fighting for the dream, but once you find out it's fake, then there's no other road to go, or you just give in and you follow the truth. You actually start to figure out what the truth is.
Arwen,
and you notice that's not that easy. It's not.
There's no solution to the problem of solipsism, which is why it's impractical to go down the road. It's much more practical to make the assumption that we can.
It's much more practical to lie. I know that's how this world works. That's why you do what you do.
It's not practical to lie. It's practical to assume that.
Yeah, it is. It's very practical to lie. That's why politicians are in power.
I don't see how anybody can look at this picture that I'm looking at and say it's not physical. I just don't see it. I don't see how anyone could look at this picture that I'm looking at and say that it's see-through or a hologram or not physical. It's a rock. It looks like a rock. If it quacks like a duck, it must be a duck, right?
It needs a bit more than a quack to make it a duck.
I'm just saying. It looks like a rock. It looks like a rock.
Yeah, I've seen paintings that look real too. It doesn't make them real.
This isn't a painting in the sky.
If it's a hologram, then it is.
Projected from where?
I don't know.
So your argument from ignorance is not a valid argument.
Neither is your claim on something that you absolutely
I'm not arguing
don't have
from
any
ignorance.
proof
I'm making an assertion that you can't disprove.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you can imagine it, whatever it to be. You can draw a conclusion that, hey, if it must look real, then it must be real, as I imagine it to be. Doesn't make it real.
If I could just interrupt for a minute and request the presence of Al K. He did have a live chat before, and I caught some of it, and I just have a couple of questions to pose to him. So if you're out there, Al K, please could you come in, and I'd like to request some information from you. Thank you.
Arwen, if we go through life with the assumption that someone is projecting thoughts into our brain, it's just a useless assumption. Because then it basically means that.
No, I'm not talking even about projection. That's your imagination about it. No. It's not being projected in our brains. I'm saying it's an intricate part of the design of this world, including our eyes. It's a part of the nature of optics, even, and in this world. That's what I'm saying. It's an inherent.
It's part of the nature of optics.
That's a side effect of how this world is. I don't know how it works, but it seems to work like that.
You're saying that it's in the nature of optics for all the celestial bodies to make it appear like we're on a sphere, but in actuality we're not.
Yes.
Right? Is that what you're saying? Why would you assume that we're not? Why would we go to that road? Why would we go to assume that there's a deceitful...
Because the math doesn't add up. It's not a ball, and we've been disproving that for months now.
What doesn't add up?
It.
What doesn't add up?
If the physical evidence doesn't work out, then you can assume anything.
But we haven't
Doesn't
seen
make
any
it
physical
real.
evidence that doesn't work out.
All your globe stuff doesn't work out.
Yeah,
There's
what
no
globe
curve.
stuff
You can
doesn't-
see
yeah,
way
give me
too
an
far.
example of
Your formulas are fraudulent. You're making
Oh,
all
really?
of this crap
Give
up.
me an
You're
example
just
of
trying
some-
to make the globe real, and you don't care about the truth when it really comes down to it. Not if the globe is at risk. You don't care about the truth at
Right.
all. You just
So-
want it to be the globe, and you
So-
want to stop us talking about it.
So for you, it's far more likely that there's this grand conspiracy that everyone from aviation to space-based communication systems to astrophysicists, geodetic surveyors, everyone is somehow deceived for has been deceived for how many centuries now, and no
Not
one has been
all of
smart
them,
enough to
but
figure it out,
yeah.
except for a few people on the internet that so far most of them seem like they're borderline unemployed. None of them have any kind of credentials, right? And any kind of a scientific background that they've been
Yeah,
able to
but you
demonstrate.
don't get that unless you actually work with the program. So
But why isn't there any PhD level scientists that have figured this out and they're part of the flat Earth movement, right? Why hasn't there been one? I mean, there's how many billion people on the
because
planet?
those
7?
types of things can be retracted, and also it's a great
They're
risk
not
for your
on
further
here- they're not
career.
on
So
here
most
debating.
scientists just avoid it like the plague.
They're not on here
It is
debating.
taboo. It is scientific taboo.
Yeah, but some of these scientists might want to know the truth, and they're smart enough to figure it out. There's smart people
Yeah,
out
but
there, right? Are you
usually
telling me
those
that all
types of
smart people
scientists are
immune
smart
from
enough
figuring
not to
conspiracy
talk
theories?
about it in public because they don't want to lose their careers. Because it's not about the
Plenty of
truth; it's
scientists
about
have lost their
politics. It's
careers.
about
Plenty-
power base, and
plenty-
they
none
know
of them-
this.
Plenty
Not
of
one
reputable
martyr.
scientists have lost their career
Not
pursuing things that they
one
thought were
martyr.
true, even though it goes against the
Yeah,
grain.
but they did that because they thought they could actually make that happen. They could actually make that manifest in the world as it is.
There's-
Scientists don't think they can manifest flat Earth because
There-
once they really figure it out, they start to
there's
realize
PhD level.
how many machinations are out there, how much money is made with it. They're going to have a huge amount of enemies.
But Erwin, there's PhD scientists out
are
there.
still dependent on
purporting
money to
creation
survive.
that-
They're
that
not
the-
going to get their money if they don't work with the program.
How do people make money off of denying that the Earth is flat?
Well, with all the possible machinations that come out of it, like satellites, all the scams, all the options of fairy tale technology that
What
actually
scams?
is
What
unnecessary,
scams that you
that
can
you don't
prove?
really need to
How are-
use, that you can make money off by making the public believe that it actually works like that. They'll pay for it and they'll love the dream of the
There-
globe at the same
Arwen,
time.
there are no
And you get your
scams that
money
you can prove.
and
These
you
are
still
all
got
your
the technology.
delusions.
So
Your paranoid schizophrenia.
yeah,
That's
sure.
what that is.
No,
These are not
Figured
scams.
it out. Sorry.
This is your delusions.
So they make money by having an entire department of the U.S. government devoted to spending money to create this scam so that they can make money doing what?
Well, for scientific research, secret stuff, black budget stuff, there's like making CGI and fooling the public is a lot cheaper than
So there-
spending real resources for these types of thing if it would
But wait a
be
minute. Wait a
real.
minute.
So you
I
have a lot. You only need a fraction of the money for the
Hold on, hold on a
CGI, for the trickery, for the media apparatus, for the influence, for the bribes.
Arwen, I have
And the rest of the money you
friends and
get to
family.
spend on whatever you want. Military projects, mind control projects, it's all kept secret. It's a perfect cover because
But
everybody
Arwen,
believes
I
it's
have
spent
friends and
on
family that work
rockets.
in aerospace that are involved in building stuff that they think really goes to space, right? And it involves thousands of people, lots of documents, lots of engineers.
Yeah, I know lots of
build-
workshops.
Go through the whole
building
process.
all
They
these
watch it get
things.
loaded into
It's
the
lovely.
rocket.
It
They go to the
enforces
launches
the
and they
belief like
cry because
nothing
they're
else.
so
If
emotional
you
about all the
build a
work they've
satellite
invested in
with
it.
your hands, you will believe that it is real
But they actually
because you
built them.
invested in it personally.
They build
Right,
those
but
rockets. Arwen. You
ultimately,
can go to the museum and look at them. They're
yeah,
not
but
I
fake.
know. Yeah, it's
You
perfect.
can go and
Yeah,
watch it through the
it's
whole
right there.
process.
So everything about what's been told about it must be real because you see that thing there.
Look, when a $1 billion company goes and builds, goes out and says we need to build a satellite to do this particular task, and then you have thousands of engineers and project managers and everyone all along this long path of things
Yeah,
to get
that's
that
a
thing
lot of
built.
illusionary employers. Now it's usually just one contact. He'll arrange everything, and he'll
But
keep
there's
all the
thousands of engineers
stuff
that
to
work on this.
himself.
Arwen,
Maybe
you can go and
fabricate
talk to
some
them, everyday
documents to make
people.
it
They
look
all
like there
work on
was
these
really something
projects, and you're
happening.
saying that
It's
you're saying
very
that.
easy to fake this.
Wait a minute. So Arwen, are
And
you
there's
saying
a
that
lot of money.
are you saying these thousands of engineers that are employed to build this stuff they're all on fool's errands? Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
They're in an industry of fool's errands.
Yes.
That's a lot of money to spend. on
But there
making
are some
fake
benefits
stuff.
to building these things that are meant for space because in the meantime they're figuring out how
wait a
to
minute.
get
Hold on.
how to design
right there.
objects to get through more difficult environments. This is just
But hold on,
out
let me
there
stop you
research
right there.
that can
So
still
you
be
have one. Hold
utilized
on, Arwen.
in
You have
retrospect.
one.
So it's not
Hold
completely
on, Arwen.
it's just
Arwen.
not what they think it's for.
Arwen, you have one group of engineers that are thinking that they're building, let's say, a cluster of satellites for the Iridium network that's going to give global communication across any place on Earth. You'll be able to do global communication, right? So you have one set of engineers that are designing that. That means you have to have a black department of engineers that are building a system that's based on flat Earth physics, right? Balloons or whatever nonsense you guys think.
No, you don't need that at all. No. The thing is, you just
Because
have people
ultimately,
that
I can
build
buy
a set.
Iridium-
Can I
ultimately, I can
explain?
buy an
Can I
Iridium
explain
design.
how it works? Can I explain it? Okay. You have the people that build these satellites. I think, yeah, this is going to be used for that project. They build their stuff, then they hand it over, usually to NASA, some kind of contact person that actually has the authority to send things up into space, which normal citizens, of course, are not allowed to. And they actually do everything. They program it in, and then they give the data, they give the connect, like here you can look it up here on this computer. This keeps track of it. It's usually very simple program, all prefab. They all have this figured out how to fool easily using a simple computer systems for that, simple programs to emulate all the formulas, all conform to the latest globe systems and everything, all the machinations. So yeah, it's very cheap. They got it all figured out, all advanced.
But anybody with a telescope can prove them wrong.
They can't fool you
No.
though, right? You can't be fooled though.
No, you still
got it
have.
all figured
There's
out
still a
with no
single
proof
satellite to
whatsoever.
be seen. So
Wait a
or
minute.
like
Arwen-
identified as a real satellite, not just a
They
fake.
could fool
dot somewhere.
PhD physicists, but they can't fool a handful of numbskulls on the internet.
Well,
How did you decide?
The thing is, once you're invested enough, once you've dedicated your entire life to this type of machination, believing that it's real, then it becomes a religion to you because you invested your entire life. When you then start to disbelieve, every honor you got, everything that was good about it that you taken for your ego is lost.
Sorry, Arwen. We've been joined by David. How you doing, David?
Oh wait. Oh hi. This is Nearbase. Sorry.
Pretty quiet.
Oh.
Arwen,
hi.
you don't realize how ridiculous your assertion is. This idea that you're going to have thousands of people that are working on a project to create a device that will produce a certain that'll provide a certain service. That means you ultimately, in the end, you do have this service, right? Like if you buy an Iridium phone or an Iridium pager, you can go in the middle of the Pacific Ocean on your sailboat and you can use it, right?
I know.
So obviously there's a device that works, which means that some engineers,
you know what that device is?
that
A
means
really high tower with a really powerful emitter. That's what that device is.
No, but what are you talking about? I have an Iridium pager that is like, that only runs off a few watts. It runs off a tiny battery. It's the size of a pager.
That's called progress in technology.
Where are these towers
It's not
at?
hard to figure
Where
out.
are these towers at? Are they hidden in camo or something like that? Can we not go to them and see them? Where are
near
these
base.
really high towers at?
How you doing, near base?
Well, they're everywhere. They're radio towers.
Arwen,
They just
but-
get the emitters to work better.
right.
They
Arwen,
improve
that
the
means-
technology. They
that
make them more
means-
efficient,
right,
make their
Arwen,
reach
does
better,
that
make
not
their
mean-
clarity better. That's
does
what
that
that
not
is.
does that not mean that you have to have a bunch of engineers that are designing things to work on a flat Earth that is not space-based, that are designing this equipment to
No,
work
but
on
they
a flat
don't
Earth
need to
that's not
know. Engineers that make their devices don't even need to know if
So
it's
engineers
going to
can
work
design
on a
global
flat Earth
communication
or on a
system
round
without-
Earth. They
without
just need to
realizing that
make
they're designing
their
it for a flat plane.
specific piece of machinery work as promised. That's what they're designed. That's what they are doing.
So you're
It doesn't
saying
matter to them if it's a
you're
flat
saying
Earth
that a
or a
team of
round.
engineers. Hold on, just to be clear, Erwin, you're saying a team of engineers can design a global communication system that they're actually designing to work on a flat Earth.
Without
they-
them knowing it. Yes.
They believe
To be
they're
honest,
making for a round-
epistemology.
That they need this satellite for this device to work, but yet it's working without the satellite. How does that work?
Epistemology. If a team of engineers are working on a flat Earth, then that's totally practical and reasonable, in my opinion. If all the same group of people are able to persuade you that we live on a ball,
No, but what I'm saying is you have a whole team of engineers that design this satellite, which Arwen just said is a fool's errand because it just gets splashed into the ocean, right?
No. No. Usually it doesn't even get launched. Don't need to.
No. I can go on base and I can watch it get loaded into the nose cone of
They
the
will
Falcon
still
rocket.
be able to utilize some of this machinery that is made for other functions like
No, but
spy
why not-
balloons,
but we
that type
watched
of thing.
You can physically go and watch the payload get loaded into the nose cone of the satellite. I mean, of the nose cone of the rocket. You can watch a satellite get loaded into the nose cone of the rocket, and then watch that get put onto raised up into the stand,
All right.
right? And then you watch it get launched, which means that
Okay.
That
Well, in that
payload
case, it
very
would definitely mean that it's going to
payload is
crash in
going
the
into
ocean. Yes.
right?
So they spent all this money. So this is how they make their money, is that they have two systems. One is a huge system to deceive everybody into thinking that they're making satellites and launching them into orbit off of these incredibly expensive rockets. And then the other
No,
system
but they're not
is
that
a global
expensive.
system of
The
towers.
rockets
Yeah,
are not
it's
that
all,
expensive.
that's how they make their money, is by having a duplicate system that is
Arwin,
designed
can I-
to deceive
can I
everybody.
say-
The rockets
that's
are
just
not that
crazy.
expensive.
Arwin, can I say something to you?
Yeah.
I don't expect Darwin to be an expert in science and like what's the word I'm looking for? Rocket research, rocket
No,
science.
I'm not asking him how any of this stuff works.
So we are coming up on 1 hour of streaming on this my backup channel. So I'm going to pester the audience once more to share the show on social media more than ever, as the show will be running on this the backup channel for the foreseeable future. So subscribe if you've not done so already. If you would like to join the debate, there is a link in the info box below this video. Simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click that link to join the discussion and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number one, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. One more time, if you're new to this my backup channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you're watching this on the re-upload on Nathan Oakley 1980 channel, be sure to click the link below this video to subscribe to Nathan Oakley channel to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate.
Everything from balloons with radar, like all sorts of stuff. There's basically an array of balloons that are basically producing this imagery that we're calling is coming from space, but really it's coming
You're
from a fleet
talking
of
about
people.
photography, like
One
Well,
example.
what
One
he's
specific
what he's
satellite.
actually asking you, he's asking you to be an expert in
No,
NASA
I'm not asking
science.
you to be an expert. What I'm saying is, you guys have conceded that the Himawari satellite is producing imagery. You guys are just saying, well, that imagery is produced by other means, by
Yes.
a array of
I would
satellite,
agree with
array of balloons or whatever, right?
no,
I
it
would
doesn't
agree
even
with
need
that.
to be that. There are perfect, super advanced spy planes now that can make
Okay,
like the
can
most
call it-
amazing
we
photography,
can
and
call
they
it-
just
we can
use
call
that
it a
generally.
we could call it a fleet of spy planes. Okay.
No,
Which
just a
means
few,
that
just 2 or something. They just go around the
spy
Earth,
plane-
take a few
wait a minute, 2
photos, and you
spy
got a
planes can take a
perfectly
picture
clear snapshot of everything.
Wait a minute. You're saying two
Yeah.
spy planes can snap a
Yeah.
picture?
It's called a flyover.
2 pictures? I mean, 2 spy planes
No.
can show us the weather all over one side of the Earth every 10 minutes?
No, not every 10 minutes. They
Well,
don't.
that's what
They
the
don't
MRI
need live
does.
Every 10 minutes.
video
It
pictures
puts up
for
a
that.
fresh image every 10 minutes.
They don't need
It puts-
live video pictures to do that.
But the Himalaya,
Those are models.
the
It's
Himalaya
all
is
computer
producing
models.
a weather image of all the weather on that particular side of the Earth every 10 minutes. And meteorologists all over the Earth depend on that data, which means that data is accurate. Right? Which means if it's not being done with the
You'd
satellite,
have to
it's
actually
being done-
show me that data because I don't think that's literal photography.
How do you know?
I don't, but that's what
So
I
you
think
don't
I-
know. So you don't know. You're just guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just guessing.
Yeah, in this case, I am.
Good job, Arwen. You're just
Erwin,
guessing.
ultimately, let's
Thank
say that we'll grant that it can be done with two secret satellite planes or planes to replace the satellites, right? Two top secret spy planes can do these imagery, right? Which still means that someone has to design them to do that, someone has to service them, someone has to fly them, someone has to process the
They're
data.
admitted that
There's
these
still a
things
lot of people
exist.
involved here just for this one particular, just for doing what the Himalaya satellite does, right?
No, it's the other way
But there's
around.
lots of
These
satellites
spy
doing lots of
planes exist,
individual
they're being
things
used for
that
military
lowers the number of
operations for decades. They're admitted that they exist officially, and they're just double for this type of function. Because why not? Why wouldn't you? You have this thing already. You can use it for that. You don't even need satellites, basically. Just use
Okay,
this.
like, for
It's a lot
example,
cheaper.
like I like to use the Iridium example, right? Because people can go on their sailboat and use their Iridium device to talk in the middle of the Pacific, right? But ham operators, right? Amateur radio guys that put the huge antennas on top of their roof and they have like hundreds of watts or thousands, even some of them, of watts of power. They can't talk to everyone all over the Earth, right?
Yeah.
Under very specific conditions, at nighttime, they can try to bounce it off the ionosphere, but it's very inconsistent and it's not reliable and it doesn't work during the daytime, right? But some scientist has designed a way for someone with a low-powered device that fits in your pocket to be able to talk to be able to talk in the middle of the Pacific Ocean on a sailboat, right? Which means that someone designed that knowing that the Earth was not round, right? Someone had to design that system to work on a flat Earth.
It doesn't need to be involved even. It's just a new level of technology, perhaps.
Erwin, you're
and they're
speaking
just
from
not
someone
giving
that
it
doesn't know
public. They're just
anything
using
about
it. It's
RF
not
and
saying
radio,
how it
right?
works.
But Arwen, you're speaking from a position of ignorance because you don't know anything about radio or RF, right? Which I don't expect you to. But for you to say that you can just do this is a ridiculous assertion because anyone that spent their whole career on this, like George Hotnick, right, who's an electrical engineer, he can tell you, well, there's the reasons why this can not work the way that you think, because it violates everything that we've ever tested.
Okay, well, that is that.
But that's why
sounds like
I'm
an
saying it's a
engineer,
ridiculous
thing.
assertion
I
to
would
assume.
then say, yeah, sure. But yeah, you don't need satellites for any of it. Could be that by now that they
That's
have
an assertion.
utilized
That's an
balloon
assertion.
programs. It's well known
Erwin,
that
that's
NASA
an
has been
assertion.
launching many balloons in the recent few years. So maybe they have been using balloon satellites for this type of thing specifically because it can work. And yeah, why not use balloons? Very easy.
So let me give you an example, right? So your local FM radio, right? They have a huge tower somewhere on a very, very tall tower or on top of a hill or a mountain, right? Usually the higher they can get it, the better to serve an area, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they have to put thousands of watts into that transmission to try and get as much area covered as possible. Yet anyone that's driven a car knows you drive 50, 60 miles away and now that radio station, you don't receive it anymore, right?
Yeah, but it's that's that same reason why satellites are difficult to accept for flat earthers, because you need a lot of power to be able to power satellites that provide television signals if they're out in space feeding millions of people down on Earth. So that same point works both ways.
But they don't need this amount of power. Do you know why? Because they're not radiating isotropically. They have a focused beam, which is why you have to place a satellite dish within a degree or less of a particular spot to capture that beam coming off the satellite. And because the satellite is so high up, everyone on that side of the Earth can point to that.
It's because of a little bit of Paul's maths. That's all. That's how you get around that. A little bit of refraction as well. But listen. I don't expect Darwin to be a NASA engineer to be able to answer all of your questions.
So then if he doesn't know enough about it, he shouldn't be able to assert that it's all fake. Then, right? Because you'd have to have a mastery of a subject or a knowledge, or
no, you don't. No.
Yeah, but hang on. It's only the same.
That's used. I'm not talking about the technology. I'm just talking about how the setup is.
It's
where
only
the money
same,
can be made. That's what I'm talking about.
Epistemology.
But if you don't know anything about RF, right? You can't just go and assert, "Oh, this can all be done."
You don't need to be a radio expert to figure out how business works. Stop being such an ignorant idiot.
You don't have to be a radio expert to assume that what can be done only with a satellite can be done without a satellite.
Epistemology. Arwin dismissing NASA stuff is only the same as you having to accept that
this isn't NASA stuff. This has nothing to do with NASA. Nothing.
By default, if you're a flat earther, you can dismiss pretty much everything of NASA in the same way that you've got to accept.
But this has nothing to do with NASA. NASA's not involved.
Hang on. In the same
NASA
way
is involved in this.
In the same way that you guys have got to accept that on good weather conditions with enough zoom, you could, in theory, look all the way around the Earth and see your own arse in your own telescope. So Arwin's only doing the same thing, but the opposite way around. He's dismissing stuff that he can dismiss because NASA are telling us that the Earth's round. Well, we don't accept that. So therefore, we don't have to accept anything from NASA because we know that we believe they're not telling us the truth. You guys you've got to accept certain things, and we're able to dismiss certain things. It's part of the argument itself. Rosanna, are you the guy from Isle of Man?
Yeah, is that right?
It is. I was
Can you
listening
hear me
to
okay?
before. Yeah, you're loud and clear. It's good.
Okay. Sorry, was I coming across too loud before?
Yeah, a little bit. You're a lot better now because you've not got some kind of machinery noise in the background. So
I don't know what that was. Listen, I've been listening to you argue about this for 20 episodes.
Yeah.
Well, I could have solved it from the first one.
Why has it been 20 episodes before you've got in touch with us? I've been looking for someone from Isle of Man for weeks.
Oh, well, I've just been watching and seeing if it would play out normally and if people could just be honest about what they were seeing. But it's just so hard for you to get your point across, isn't it, when you got people who are so rude?
I want to show you something if I can hide it.
I've been waiting for you. I've been watching everything. Listen, the funniest thing about all of this for me is that you keep mispronouncing all the names of the places.
Well, I can get Ramsey and Douglas right because I'm not mispronouncing them, right?
No, but can I tell you, Moorcold Lighthouse is Mackled Lighthouse.
Oh, right, okay, I apologise.
It's just good to be able to speak to you, Swami, and tell you.
Is it right to say that Jeremy Clarkson owns it?
No.
Because he's in the papers saying that he either owns it or he paid to refurbish it, one or the other.
No, I'm pretty sure Jeremy Clarkson owns Langness, which is not Mackled. I don't think anybody owns Mackled Lighthouse. It's definitely not the one Jeremy Clarkson owns.
It's in the paper saying that he refurbished it, but it doesn't state specifically that he owned it, but it does say that he refurbed it. So it kind of goes by assumption. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's Okay, what I wanted to ask your opinion on, and it is just an opinion, and it's totally acceptable if you're incorrect or you don't know. Don't say yes if you feel obligated. What I wanted to ask you was, obviously you're familiar with this landscape, right?
Yeah.
So you know that Ramsey starts here, yeah?
Yeah, to me that looks like...
There you go. This is where the end drops off for us, and Ramsey is just below this little band of refraction, this negligible refraction that's here, that's stopping it because it's very low land.
Yeah.
So Ramsey is here, and then as we continue across, we get to a bit of land that's here, and then this is the bit of land that I want you to focus in on. We come back to it in a second. We zoom in. But there's one particular part of it that I want your opinion on. It's very precise, and you'll have to squint your eyes a little bit to see it because it's a little bit contentious. Because I'm trying to identify what it is. Right, I don't know if you can see this, but there's a black matchstick sticking up there. Can you see where my mouse is? I don't know if you can see this. You may not see it on the
where mouse is, yeah.
Yeah, it's immediately
just
above
about
my
make
mouse.
out that black stick, yeah.
Right, that little black stick seems to line up with something very precise, and I was just wondering if you might be able to tell me, am I crazy for thinking that it might be this? From the point of observation where I was, and if I line it up to the Mogold, or however you pronounce it, lighthouse.
Mahold.
Mahold.
Mahold, like pickled, but Mahold.
Mackled, okay.
Yeah, Mahold.
Mackled Lighthouse. So this is the bit what we're trying to work on at the minute. This is what the Flat Earth side are working on. Like in other words, me, Ranty, Chris Monk.
Yeah. I've watched every one. I've listened to every single one.
Yeah, it's took you 19 goes to get on though, man. Right, yeah, this is the bit.
Go on.
This is what I want to ask you. When I get onto the line of sight that we've been on for all this time, if I turn the elevation profile up, because this is behind the curvature of the Earth on Google Earth, but I need to make it taller so I can so I can
see.
Give you the chance to see it. Yeah. I hate it when it does that. Let me get back down there. Hang on.
It's okay, mate. It's better than normal when I'm shouting at the screen.
Yeah. Right. So that's the line of sight to the lighthouse, roughly, give or take. It's not exact, but it's close enough for what I want to show. If I now look over to the right, I can see the Highlands of Scotland, and I can see land that wasn't there before. None of this was.
I watched a couple of shows ago.
Yeah, they've changed it from our perspective, and it might not actually show me what I want to show you now because they've changed it. But the bit I'm hoping to show you, and it's on one of the previous hangouts. Oh, I'm not going to be able to do it. It's not showing it now. It was there originally, and it's now not there. Right, so that's where I need to see it. Okay, so can I even see this now? Because it should have made it better, but it seems to have made it worse because the land has been risen behind it. Because this point of a lighthouse is what I'm trying to establish to be. I can't show it you.
Right.
because
lighthouses up the point of a.
There's a little winky and the point of a lighthouse.
That's
now
right.
in one of the early hangouts, one of the very early hangouts, me and Nathan were chatting, and I'd suggested that we should point this out and ask, is it actually the lighthouse? And Nathan said, no, don't, because if we don't know for a fact that it definitely is, you're better off not doing it.
Which one do you mean, the point of a lighthouse?
Yeah, well, no, we're all right with the Mac. Let me just get this back on track.
Mackle is basically straight in front of where you're saying you're taking the picture from.
Yeah, what I'm trying to do is trying to get it back down to the because I've done this before and I showed Nathan, and Nathan said don't, because if you're wrong you're gonna look like a dick.
No, you won't. Just do it. It doesn't matter. The truth's the truth, isn't it?
I can't do it because it doesn't show it now. I'd have to find the original hangout where I could do it, and it was there.
Do that and come back to that. Let me ask you something. Do you remember when you said that the very first time that you've done this, you presented it, and when you went to identify Douglas, you said there's a tuft of trees on the top of that hill.
Yeah.
That's Douglas Head.
Yeah, that's right. Do you agree
that
a
tuft of trees up there? It's just there's bushes up there beyond that, but what you're seeing was Douglas Head. And can you see now where you've got your yellow line?
Yeah.
That landmass sticking out is called Derby Haven. Yeah, there.
That's the least that we're looking at. But I think we're looking.
What I'm saying is, go back up to where you were, Derby Haven.
Hang on a sec. I just want to show you the tuft of trees for those that are not familiar. This tuft of trees is
that's Douglas Head, just up to your left.
Yeah, we've got this matched up, and although people say it's been misidentified, epistemology for truth.
Yeah,
it hasn't been misidentified.
Actually, by the way, Anthony, if that tuft of trees is Douglas Head, then that means that city that I call Bala Canals is not actually Douglas. It can't be Douglas because Douglas Head is left in your picture.
That is our position. What you've just said is our position, that Bala Canal is not Douglas.
Right. But what I'm saying is, if what you're calling that tuft of trees is Douglas Head, then that means that town that you're calling Douglas cannot be Douglas.
No, it lines up perfectly with it.
And you see where you are now?
Yeah, go on.
See where the yellow line is on Douglas?
Yeah.
Can you see just beyond that, south of Douglas. It's a little outcrop there. Yeah, that's Derby Haven.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
the only piece of land from the position that you're taking the image from that could possibly be sticking out past Douglas is that it's Derby Haven.
I know, but that's rejected on the
And this
ground.
is the original point in the first show that people kept saying,
I know,
oh, it's the south of the island. Paul was saying it was the south of the island. Other people were saying it's the south of the island. It can't possibly be further south because you can't see any further south than
what they mean
you
when
can
they
see
say
there.
south, they mean south relative to this position rather than south like as an accurate compass direction south.
South as in the rest of the land of the island would be south, but east, wouldn't it?
Anthony, on that
That's what I
panorama,
missed.
show us where that tuft of tree is. Put your
Right.
mouse on it.
There.
Okay. To the right of that you're calling that's Douglas to the right of
I
that.
can't see a screen.
Correct. You'd have to look at the hangout screen.
Yeah, that's Douglas Head, the bump to the left.
So you would agree that would be Douglas Head?
I know for a fact it's Douglas Head.
So really, that means that these guys have misidentified Bala Canal.
I don't know what they've done because I don't want to argue about whether they have or they haven't. Let them come and prove it. If you go back to the first show when you showed your line of sight with Douglas, you did have that line of sight with Douglas from Google Maps. That shows it. And like I said, to the left, the outcrop of land, which is Derby Haven, is the only possible land that you could see to the left of Douglas from your point of view. Now, the consensus point is, what is that shadow that we can see in the picture? Is that island or is that what the boys were saying?
Exactly.
Copies. But I just wanted to clarify, I live in the Isle of Man. I knew what you were looking at was Derby Haven, and I know for a fact that there is no possible land past Derby Haven from your point of view. So you either have to say it's not land in the picture, or you have to accept that it is, and the only land it could be would be Ireland, obviously.
This is where we got to the other day. Nathan was asking, is there a line of sight to Douglas or not? And in the end...
I listened to Paul deny it, and then he had to admit that there was, and then he still tried to deny it. I know everything about everything that's going on. I've listened to everyone.
I'm just giving a summary for those that are listening that might not have listened the other day.
Okay.
So just put up with me a sec. So the tuft of trees that are on the top, I've identified because I believe them that they are this. Okay.
Yeah.
This triangular patch here, we believe, because based on what we've triangulated, we believe it's this triangular patch that's here. Now the problem is, if we are correct and you're saying that it is, the land stops very, very quickly, and you can see in the background that there's now mountains because they've updated Google based on a board. They weren't there the other day, but the point is...
anything that you could see in the photograph would be Derby Haven. Now, what you're showing now, the extent of that land is not Derby Haven. It can't possibly be Derby Haven.
Because it goes way beyond.
Not land and it's a shadow, or it's land, and the only land it can be is Ireland, isn't it?
So would you agree with me that if it was Derby Haven, it would be very flat on the horizon and it would be stopping around about here somewhere?
Maybe a little bit further than that. Yeah, go out a little bit more. Anywhere around about to the edge, about the... Anything further than that.
All of this,
is dubious.
in your opinion, that you live on Isle of Man, you would say that all of that over there would be island?
Not in my opinion. I would have to say we'd have to verify that what that black line is land. You see what I'm saying? I don't want to call it either way because I don't want to jump into the nonsense that you get into with these people who come in for the discussion.
Well, then,
in reality, without going on about this point, what I'm here to do for you is I'm on the Isle of Man. We've got a P900. We can take all the observations you take, and we can verify any heights of any buildings and any line of sight that you want to do.
How long would it take you to get up to the point of Lighthouse?
20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Right, so if I go up to St. Bees and I get my P900 and I point it to the point of Lighthouse, if you were to get
my P900 and I'll see if I can see your ass in it.
I love it, lad. He's obviously been watching. So basically, if you were to set off a flare, because this is where I believe
that's what we want to do. Yeah, we want to be able to get something that we can all verify, don't we?
Yeah, because if you set off a flare from the point of her lighthouse, and then we can see the flare from here, that means that all the land that's off to the left would be Isle of Man, and everything off to the right must be island because there is no more land. Are you up for it?
I'll leave it up to whoever wants to make conclusions, but I just want to get the verification done.
Yeah. So are you happy? Would you be prepared to get a flare on the day that we're there, do the observation with me, and when just basically set the flare off when I ask you to?
Yeah, of course. I'm even take the P900 observations in reverse, so you can see what we're seeing on the exact same day.
Nathan, man, this guy's a genius. Now, let's make a suggestion and a hypothesis. My prediction is that if he's at the point of her lighthouse, we will not only see the flare, we will also realise that all the land to the right must be island because there is no more land for Isle of Man. It stops at the point of her lighthouse. So what will the ballers then concede? Because they're going to have to concede that this is island in the background because there is no other option.
Well, I'd like to see the end of it, really, because you shouldn't be debating objective reality, as Dale says, but as anyone knows, it should be a discussion, it should be polite, and you provided the observations. Now all you have to do is update them so everybody's happy with the information.
And the other thing
you can get the answers quite easily, I think, anyway.
The other thing is, I wouldn't even have to see Isle of Man in the background. This land in the background anymore, because so long as you're at the point of her lighthouse and you put up a flare, that would denote where the end of the Isle of Man is in any event. So then we can cross-reference it and say that's the end of the Isle of Man. He stood on the point of her lighthouse, but obviously you're going to need 3 independent witnesses. One's got to be your mum. It's got to be signed off by a reverend. You've got to have GPS coordinates. You've got to have a flagpole up your bottom, all that kind of stuff. But if you can denote where the end of the Isle of Man is, we don't even need to see island in the background. We just need to know where the Isle of Man stops.
Yeah, we're prepared to do all observations for you and all assistance with any observations that you want to make.
Happy days. Right, so then the only issue that we need to get is a flare. Now, I know that they're technically classed as pyrotechnics. Does anybody know how we can get hold of a flare without doing anything dodgy or illegal? Because that's what we need to do.
I'm sure we can use something that isn't illegal.
Like what?
I don't know, but I'm sure there'll be something that we can use that's, within the rules.
Right, in the side chat, I'm going to put you my Hotmail address. This will get you onto my Skype if you've got Skype, and if not, just onto email. You need to keep in touch with me because
that's what I wanted to do,
I need to get you, me and you need to collaborate because there's a couple of people that want to come with me. And if I've got somebody on the Isle of Man that can press the flare at the exact moment that we're watching for the flare, and the flare appears on the screen and it's in a particular place and we know that's the end of the Isle of Man, it means everything else beyond it has to be an island.
Well, I'm happy to do that for you.
You're an absolute gentleman. Thank you so much for this. Whereabouts in Liverpool were you from?
Well, it's a long story, but I'll cut it short. I was born in the Isle of Man.
Yeah, go on.
To a Scouse mum and a Manx dad.
Right.
So my mum actually took me back to Liverpool. I was brought up in Liverpool, and then I grew up again in the Isle of Man, came back here.
Do you know the pub called The Raven?
The Raven?
Yeah, in Isle of Man.
Oh, in Ramsey?
Yeah, in Ramsey, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where.
That was where that motorcyclist was killed a couple of years back, wasn't it?
Which one?
I don't know I can't remember his name. He came up and over the humpback bridge and he got airborne.
Oh, races on the races?
Yeah, on the TT race, yeah. He ran straight into the wall of the Raven and killed himself immediately, like.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
It's a terrible thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's I'm amazed that they allow the TT race to happen, to be honest, given the health and safety.
But because it's so long standing, I can understand why it still goes on. But
no, I agree with it. If you
choose to do it, isn't it? It's an incredible feat that the people are achieving. But it's also just so sad to see people go.
Are you able to stand at the point of her lighthouse and look left and see Ireland, and then look right and see England?
On certain days, in the right conditions, you can see England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales even, especially from Snaefell. The mountain Snaefell.
Yeah.
Well, it's got a term that comes with it is to say that you can see the Seven Kingdoms.
Cool.
Which is England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, the Isle of Man itself, the sea, and the heavens.
Right, you're an absolute star. So thank you so much for approaching us because we've been waiting.
Yeah, no worries, mate. I just want to show you something on screen if you look.
Yeah, go on.
Can you see me now?
Yeah, I can see your earmuffs, yeah. Looks like you got
Let
a
me
bra on
pay
your
for
head.
you, must. This is what I have to do to get on here. See them steady enough.
I know it looks like you got a bra on your head.
I've never been on that hangout before. And he said, you need earphones, you can't hear properly, so at least you've known that. I'm glad about that.
Yeah. So what is it you wanted to screen share?
I can't, well, I don't, I just want, can you see me? I always have to see now as your picture of the old man. Can you see
Sorry,
that?
It's off screen. Move it over. Move it to more to your left. Yeah, that's it. Down a bit. Yeah, MBSA.
Is that it? MBESA.
Yeah, I see that.
Manx Ball Earth Skeptic Association.
Manx, what?
Ball Earth Skeptic Association.
What's that?
Do you remember John McGon, Ball Earth Skeptics?
Yeah.
Well, and we're the Manx Ball Earth Skeptics.
Oh, right. I get it. So I get it. I'm with you.
And can you see that what our logo is?
Just pull it down a bit. You're too high. Can we see where the what is?
Can you see the logo?
Yeah, I can. It looks like the flat Earth map. Yeah, the azimuth for that Goodistant map.
Yeah.
That's really cool, that dude.
Just taking the piss out of the because they like to use it, don't they?
Yeah. Right, listen, we need a flare. That's what the only task I need you to
Listen,
do.
don't worry about our end. We're absolutely sorted. We've got everything. We've got an engineer on board.
Happy days.
Yeah, we're sound. Listen, I'll get in touch with you on email and that, but I just wanted to show you that. I'll send you the link as well, Anthony, because on the Isle of Man we've got Manx forums, just like a local forum.
Yeah.
And someone introduced the flat earth subject, and the topic was called flat earth, and then it had a question mark. And this was when it started 2 years ago, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That forum has been running ever since.
Cool.
That actual thread, flat earth, is still going. People still trying to argue.
So in the context of Nathan's chat right now, how persuasive do you find the evidence that I've caught?
It's bang on, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. So would you agree that we're seeing Ireland?
I can't say that, no, because I can't verify what the shadow in the image is.
Right, that's the bit I'm trying to work on.
You're calling it land, everyone else is saying it's a replication of the Isle of Man. It's a repeat of the photograph of the Isle of Man just being extended out. So I can't verify any of that, but once we do, I don't think there can be any doubts.
No. Happy days. I'm planning on going up there in the next fortnight. I don't know exactly when, but it'll be imminently. So if we can sort something out, add me on Skype or email me, whichever. Just get in touch with me.
I haven't got no Skype accounts. Even this now, it's just my mate's tablet, you know what I mean? That I just use to watch YouTube.
Yeah.
To get myself set up a bit more so I can keep connected with this.
Did you say you lived in Douglas or Ramsey?
Douglas.
You live in Douglas, right?
So what I can see on a clear day from Douglas Beach, I can see where you are.
It's supposed to be behind 1,000 feet of curve.
Oh, I know that. I show everyone. So
Paul's going to respond to this now.
Excuse me, can you see anyone there? And they say, yeah, and I say, well, isn't it meant to be around a big cave with a big ball? They just look at you like soft.
Happy days. This is fab. Right, listen, we've hijacked it long enough now and people are getting bored of talking about it, but this is excellent for us. Just send me an email or add me on Skype and we'll pass it back to Epistemology for Truth and he can talk about satellites or whatever it was he was on about.
Have you two exchanged email addresses and stuff? Sorry, just bear with me a sec. Have you exchanged email addresses and such?
I will do. When Anthony sends me his, I'll get on to it tomorrow when I send you one.
Well, if
I've sent it in the side chat. If you look in the side chat, you should see it.
Just
I don't know operate this, Anthony.
Yeah, once you've got his email address.
Yeah.
If you send him your address, I've got dozens of headphones that are unused. I'll send you some headphones if you give him your address. Just tell him.
I'll send you the microphone.
I've got headphones with mics on.
I'll get me on tomorrow.
Just go. There's one on. I'll give you the cheap one that's really good quality.
But either way, yeah. If we get your address, we'll get you a pair of headphones that are decent.
I don't used to get them. I can get them myself, no worries. But if I can Skype call Anthony tomorrow or Nathan as well, then we can talk easily more often then, can't we?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. I've put it in the side chat. I've also put it in the name of the best value for money microphone out there. It's 24 quid from Amazon. It's well worth buying it because you sound like you're in like a
I'll
milk
send you
bottle
one
or
for
something.
free.
It sounds
If I can get
terrible,
his
but it's
address, I'll
probably
send
because you
him
got
one
a
for
built-in
nothing.
mic.
Got loads
Well,
of
it's okay. We
addresses.
can hear you. We can hear you. It's fine.
Anyway, we'll figure it out.
Oh, you're a star, man. Right. Thank you very much for your approach because we've been waiting for somebody that was like local enough to be able to do exactly this.
I've got manners as well out there. I listen to people. I'm not going to talk over people and interrupt them and all the rest of it. You know what I mean? You just want to get this issue sorted clearly,
Yes.
don't you?
You're an absolute star. Thank you so much for that, and I appreciate you coming on and letting us know because this
No
is
worries,
exactly
mate. Well, I'll go off now then. I'll speak to you tomorrow.
no worries. Add me on Skype or whatever.
Where's the side chat? Because I can't see the side chat here. I've got the watch page up. I'm just in the hangout, you see.
You know the tab that's got a little red circle at the top. It says Google Hangouts.
No. I'm on a tablet.
I know, yeah. How am I going to get this to you? If you can see the main chat though, can't you?
No, it's got your full screen sharing.
Well, here's the easy way to do it. Here's the easy way to do it. If you can drop me an email, from there we can contact you. So my email address is just nathanoakley1980 at AOL.com. AOL.com.
Or you could
just let me get my email address in cleanly once, because then he can hopefully send me an email and we can go from there. So nathanoakley1980 at AOL.com. If you drop me an email, I can then share Skype addresses and things like that.
What I'll do is I'll look it up on Thingy now using your username, and hopefully I'll find you. Rosanna Rosanna Manwana.
No, it's Mabiza.
You're gonna have to spell it. Go on.
No, it's just Mabiza. The one I just showed you.
Hang on. Oh yeah, spell that for me.
It's just on YouTube. MBESA.
Can you spell that phonetically?
M.
M for mother. Yeah.
B.
Bertie.
For ball.
Oh yeah.
E for Aristophanes.
Aristophanes, yeah.
S.
Sugar.
S for line of sight and A.
MBSA. Let's have a look.
Yeah. MBESA.
Hang on, channel.
Mabiza.
MBESA. Yeah, Mabiza. Let me find it. Mabiza. It's 2 words, is it?
Well, I'm not very technically minded with these types of things, so when I actually tried to make the channel, it just done the name twice.
I'm not finding Mabiza. Is it 2 words?
I'm not active. I haven't uploaded any videos really. I mean, the channel is up, and I'm subscribed to people, but I don't know how people find me.
Right. Well, we'll have to leave it with you then. If you just email Nathan or myself, find my channel and send me a message on my channel or whatever. Just keep in touch, and then we'll sort something out in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, no worries. We'll get it sorted out, definitely.
Happy days. Good man. Right.
I
Let's
would
go
like to
back
get into the chat when everyone else was on there as well. Paul and Mark and all them others. We all could have had a nice chat together about the old man, but
no worries.
Save that for next time, mate.
Right, we'll pass it back to epistemology, and you can talk about satellites again because that was like so entertaining.
Oh yeah, that was riveted. Absolutely riveted. Nice one.
Cheers, pal. See you in a bit.
About half an hour left.
Yeah, man.
Can you hear me? I would suggest one thing.
Yeah, go.
And it'll help go a long ways. Perhaps when you guys do your observations, use your phone or have him use his phone and to provide exact GPS coordinates, so there is no mistaking where you guys are at. You know what I'm saying? That's not too much of a, I would say.
Does anybody know what the Android app is that they use to identify specifically where they are? What's it called?
I don't know. I'm on Apple. I got Apple phone.
Where the what? What was the question? Cut out there, Anthony.
The Android app that people use to identify precisely what the position that they are at. Because I have a new phone, you see, and it didn't work on my old phone, and I can't remember what it's called.
Is it like an apple?
Just to show your raw GPS data, like your GPS coordinates and your altitude and all that stuff?
Yeah. What's that called?
The app that I use is called GPS Essentials because I've used it for a long time, but there's a to it.
But what was the word after but what?
The one that I use is called GPS Essentials.
Okay.
It's in the Play phone, right?
GPS Essentials, right? I'll try and find that.
And then the cool thing about it is you have a bunch of empty cells, and each cell you can click on it and you can to display, and it can do everything from your bearing, compass data, time, number of satellites, altitude, all that stuff.
Yeah,
Latitude,
the one,
longitude.
the altitude is the one that I really wanted.
Yeah. Yep.
Right, Nath, what do you think about that, gent?
He had a terrible microphone. He was a great guy.
Other than the microphone issue, what can he bring to the flat Earth debate? That's going to be an interesting observation if he sets a flare off from the north side of the of the
if
island.
Set a flare
the
off,
flare.
It's game over, really. I mean, I already think it's Ireland anyway. You already think it's Ireland. We've seen it modelled really accurately now by Chris. I mean, I hope he does eventually present that to the audience. But you know, we're lucky because we've seen that stuff from Chris. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say I know it's Ireland.
I agree. I've seen the modelling done, and I agree completely. It is Ireland. The problem we have is trying to prove it. So we were trying to prove it with like counting pixels and calculating bearings and all that. And really, I prefer empirical stuff, actually seeing stuff. And if this guy can get to the point of a lighthouse, set off a flare at the time that we ask him to do it, and we see a flare, it is game over. It really is game over.
At which lighthouse?
Point of a lighthouse. Air is spelled Ayre. It's right up on the top corner of the. It's basically if I put my screen on now, so you can see my screen. It's the point where we think the boat is, or the little winky lighthouse, whichever it is. I've got it on screen now, just in case you're looking at the watch page, and chat should see it as well. But it's basically the area that we're looking in right now, because there is a boat going past this lighthouse. It makes sense to me that it would be the lighthouse.
Thing is the Point of Air lighthouse.
I'm saying that the Point of Air lighthouse is this little black stick that sticks up, but I don't think you'll see it on the actual hangout because it is only like a couple of pixels wide, and it's on
zoom that picture out.
Well, so it's a video. It's a video, isn't it? Can you see it there now?
Yeah.
That little black stick there is what we think is the Point of Air lighthouse, which we think is the end of Isle of Man. So if I get him to stand somewhere near there, fire a flare off, then anything that's to the right of that cannot be Isle of Man. It can only be Ireland.
Can you pan to the left or show the video panning to the left?
Was that enough?
No, yeah. Can you keep going? Because there's that gap there.
Yeah. I'll have to do it the other way because I go all the way down and then come all the way back up again.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
So this is where Ramsey is. This is the gap.
Right.
This is the cliff face. Stop. And this is where we believe this is the Point of Air lighthouse. This is what I was going to get Rumpus to do the other day. But to be honest, I don't.
Build a panorama off that video. Can you make that video available for everyone to download?
Yeah, it's on my channel. I'll give you a URL so that you can download it. But it's been there for weeks. I did it on purpose so that people could.
The one that says Ireland. I saw that video and it wasn't the complete video. It wasn't the 352. I mean, that particular video file. Can you make that exact video file unchanged?
Yeah. I've already uploaded it to my channel. Give me a sec. I'll give you the URL. It's the one that's called. So this one's 202 minutes. This one's 2 minutes 22 seconds. I've got an intro at the beginning.
Peak Finder. Just if you saw that in the chat, Sleeping Warrior. Peak Finder. You heard of that?
Yeah, I have heard of that. Yeah.
Thank you, Charles.
Copy that. Okay, so this exact file, epistemology, I will drop into the Hangout side chat just for you now, and then you've got it on screen. It's the exact file that I'm looking at. It's not been changed in any way. It's been unprocessed. It's not been changed on the contrast or anything. It's exactly the way I see it on my screen. So if you want to grab that from the side chat, you'll see it, and then you've got the same video that I've got, and it's It has been processed through YouTube, but it should be the same. You should be able to pick out the black line that I'm looking at. Now, there now comes a conundrum, because if it is the case that he sets the flare off, me and Nathan can then assert that it is game over. But how many people will actually jump ship and say, shit, we must be looking at Ireland? Because really, it's got to be everybody. You've all got to convert over to the Brotherhood, because there's no way that anybody can say that we can see Ireland on the ball, because it's like so far beyond. Let's just do the maths again so that we can
Well, you do the maths. I mean, what they'd then have to argue is that we have this perfect projection of the Isle of Man with...
Oh, so you can see your own arse through the telescope.
I mean, it is that argument, but 10 times over, and you then have to account for the fact that you've got Ireland in the background. I mean, that's why I say game over, because to convince the audience of that, I mean, they've got a tall order already.
So if it is Ireland and we see the flare that the guy sets off, that means we're looking 85 miles from a distance, from an observer height of, I mean, you can give it like 500 feet if you want. You still ain't going to be able to see that. They're going to have to prove that standard refraction or bendy light mathematic refraction or whatever, they're going to have to prove that that happens to be the perfect storm. And let me tell you this, I'll be able to get it again. If the atmosphere is clear enough and it's not like a cloudy day or whatever, I'll be able to repeat this comfortably. That's why I'm taking different people with me. So the two people that have asked me, and I'm not going to name who they are because they've asked not to be named. If you're watching this show right now, that guy's going to be setting a flare off, and he's going to set it off from the Point of Ayr lighthouse, which we believe that we can identify. If he does that, all the land to the right. Do you want to do it, Nathan? Do you want to say it in your tone?
Oh, right. What, say that it's Ireland? I mean, I've never not maintained... so far, I've not once said it isn't. And every time they say that land is the Isle of Man, I say we have to concede this for the sake of argument. And that's because I can't bring myself to say it is the Isle of Man, because I just don't think it is. That's on the left-hand side. The right-hand side, I've given a lot less consideration, but certainly when we saw it lined up by Chris, I was in absolutely no doubt.
Yeah. It is, because there's height to it that shouldn't be there if it was the Isle of Man. But it's difficult to judge.
Where is that lighthouse on Google right now? Like, show me where that lighthouse would be on Google, if you don't mind.
On Google Earth. Who was that was asking then?
Yeah, it's Flamingo.
The lighthouse that we're talking about is called Point of Ayr Lighthouse, and it's on the furthest most north tip. In relation to me, it would be the northeast corner, but for me, it's north. And this is the Point of Ayr Lighthouse. I'll come down to this little one here is called Little Winky or Winky. There's a foghorn that's not been used for a few years because they use GPS now, and they've got this main lighthouse. And we believe we can identify this based on the overlay, the precision thing that Chris has done. And I was going to get Rumpus to do the maths on this the other day to be able to identify this, to see if basically to check that we were doing it right, because we were going to assume that Rumpus's maths would be right, and we were expecting them to match. We were expecting to get the exact same bearing. But if he goes to anywhere along here on the beach or what, I mean, the tide might be in or whatever, he may only get to the foghorn. But if he gets to the furthest point that he can get to, that's on the northern tip of Isle of Man, sets a flare off, and we see as long as we see the flare, and we're probably going to see the flare, it will mean that when we have the video up, which should be here, we think that he'll be setting his flare off from. Hopefully, this will zoom in again. Come on, zoom in a little bit more. There we go, and I should pan over to the right. So we believe he'll be, see that black stick sticking out there? We believe that's where he'll be setting the flare off from. Flare will go up to maybe here or somewhere, do a big starburst. We'll see the starburst. And that means all of this land could only be Ireland. If that's the case, the Earth is flat. It's flat as a pancake. If it's not flat...
All that land looks connected to me, though.
Agreed. But my position is that this is all Ireland. None of it's Isle of Man. I believe that this bit sticking up is, I believe there may be the odd Miles Davis misrepresentation where he's picked 2 or 3 points up that are ridiculously. I think he had 3 points that were about 290 feet, and they were like, it was the one, like it was like the tip of a triangle of the peak of the hill that he'd found, because I couldn't.
That cliff face to the left over there, that's a cliff face, right? It looks like a cliff face, right?
Yeah, and we can identify that.
Is
And
that
I'm happy.
on Google Earth?
It is. I'm happy to concede, and I agree, because this is how we found out that it wasn't Isle of Man, because I'm happy to concede, and I agree that this is what we're looking at with that cliff face. We're looking, and I'm a bit too far out. Hang on, zoom in a bit. But this is the only peak at this part of the Isle of Man that's high enough to be seen. The rest of it isn't. The rest of it is very low. So that, I think, is that the right place? Yeah, that's the right place.
Yeah,
so
Snipe,
there's
just
the
rejoin on Skype, which he has. Shock horror. You guys don't have to like this evidence. It's still going to get shown.
What happened?
He got sniped because he was about to show something damning.
Oh.
Oh, it sucks.
I have his video,
Wow.
so I'll check it out
That was
tonight,
weird.
and I'll compare. I have to download Google Earth, and I think that cliff face is. What that black line is, all the earth behind that little black connected. I can't say for sure what it is. It all looks connected. It doesn't look like there's any.
You're right. It does
there
look
isn't
connected,
depth,
but my
any
position is
change in
that's
the depth.
all island.
You were nearly at the end of your presentation. If you give me 10 more seconds, Anthony, because we've got about 15 minutes left on the show, I'll
Do you want me to represent?
so I can be sniped out of my hangouts in the secondary channel. Great.
That forces you now onto the Skype setup instead.
Maybe. Well, to be perfectly honest, I'm going to transition across to my me while I'm explaining this to the audience. So currently this channel's well under 1,000 subs, and unfortunately my time has to be monetized. I'm poor, so these shows aren't commercially viable in terms of the ad revenue that they generate. So therefore I have literally relied upon the revenue that's been generated by the super chat, and when I say I'm eternally grateful to the people who donate to the super chat, I do mean it. That being said, this channel hasn't got a super chat, so it may be the case that there's just a 3-month break and I do the odd hangout while the other channel gets sorted, because if I can be removed from my own, that will cause so much disruption, and I don't know the way around that. I didn't know how.
Well, the way around it is to host it through Skype.
Well, quite possibly it might be the case that the hangout is literally just there to be a catchment for people who want to join the Skype conversation. I may do it that way. On the other hand, I may not do it at all. Like I say, this is a bit of a ball ache in the biggest sense of the word. It's a lot of work, but because people have donated to the super chat, it's been just about worthwhile doing by comparison to the shows. Anyway, as I say, we've still got about 15 minutes left. I've still got you on Skype. You're still going to do your presentation. We've still got the chat. I've been removed from the hangout, which means no one can challenge you. You've got the mic until we finish, and then, like I say, I'll figure out if I can actually be unsnipeable again. We shall see.
Well, let me just. I need to get the. I need to now go back to, because I've been sniped myself. I need to pull out the public chat so I can see what they can see. Right, they can see my screen. All right, so now I've got the ability to speak unrestrictedly, and it means that we can basically say what all the propaganda and all the dogma that we want. So does that mean that epistemology for truth has been kicked as well?
Yeah, it's terrible news. I mean, like I say, this will not be the way the show runs, because this is just a flat earth echo chamber right now. I mean, so be it, because, like I say, I haven't intentionally run a flat earth echo chamber, and it's only 10 minutes left. So, that's no show.
So,
though. That's not a debate. I need the other participants. But if I'm removed from the hangout, that means that, I can't sustain the show. That's the bottom line. And I'm not going to just add everyone on Skype. No way.
No. Well, so I know that epistemology's probably listening right now, and if he's not, I hope all the ball earthers are listening. I'm happy to accept, and I have done from day one, that the land that we see here on the far left of this, like, floaty, miragey, towering, looming bit of land, I accept that this is Isle of Man, and I've never said it's not. So in case anybody wants to misrepresent my words, Jeremy, Mark Taylor, curved water, I've always said that I accept that is that. Okay. However, the land that's around Isle of Man drops down and it becomes in this band of refraction or whatever, this looming or whatever it is. And in my opinion, we're looking at Ireland. This has been my position from day one. I also believe we're looking at Ireland down the far left-hand side of the Isle of Man. But this is the easiest one to prove because it's closer and it's more perpendicular to my line of sight. I'm not looking down the length of the island. I'm looking right in front of me. So if we can get this guy to release the flare at the right time and we see a flare going off, and I don't know how the ballers will be able to get away with the explanation on that one because it'll do exactly what, because we believe that we can point out the point of a lighthouse. I'll see if I can pick it up again on here now. Because I don't see how they can get past this. You're going to need a sieve. Basically, there's the point. This is what we believe is the point of a lighthouse. A little winky one's probably about here somewhere. This is a boat that seems to be passing it. Makes perfect sense. And then this is Ireland in the background. So anything that goes beyond the flare, as long as we can see the flare go up, and you can generally see flares for miles, as long as we can identify the flare, that pretty much means the Earth is flat, boys. I don't think anybody will be able to argue that the Earth's a ball after seeing this, so long as we can see the flare. It relies on seeing the flare, and I think we'll see the flare. It might not be very bright or powerful, and they may say it could be a plane. Well, if it happens to go off at exactly the time that we ask him to press the button, and then we see something vertical going up in front of us, it's going to be the flare, guys. I want to know how many people will still maintain their ball position based on this, and especially Miles Bloody Davis. I see you in chat, you dishonest person, you. I wonder what your position will be. In fact, actually, Miles, if we do this, I need you to come up and do it with us so that you can verify that you saw the flare with your own two eyes. So, Miles, you're challenged. You can come up and do the observation with us, and you can validate your own model turns out to be false. And Gem Panda, don't misrepresent my words. Shout out to Shroomy in the chat. Twitwit, that's not proof, Anthony. Twitwit's not been keeping up to date with the Flat Earth debate.
I'm trying to figure out how to be unsnipeable in this hangout, because that's the only way around this. And that is slightly heartbreaking, because I thought, I reckon I can probably get up to 1,000 subs in this channel, but if I'm snipeable, that's it basically for me on this channel, isn't it? How can I get around that? I don't know how I was
host it on Skype and have an echo chamber.
No, I don't want to do that. How can I? That's the thing I'd never understood in the other channel. How I wasn't being sniped.
Maybe you need to have dinner with the enemy. Maybe you need to befriend Tim Osman. He'd know how to do it.
I know he knows how to do it. He knows how to do it. He knows he's got the information. He wants me to ask him and be thankful and all that sort of stuff.
What you should do is offer him a deal. Just give him an exeat or a get out of jail free card. Just say if Riley shows the flare when he presses the button and we can see the flare, that means you have to accept that the Earth is not a ball, Tim. But give him an exeat and just say, okay, you can have a get out of jail free. Everybody else has got to convert, but you can maintain your position and just let him think that he's getting something when he's really not, because he'll be the only gay in the village.
Gem Panda says, snipe yourself from the other account, then invite yourself back in via email. What a faff. I don't know. The thing I did like was that in terms of getting the show running, it was relatively easy, but if I've got to start doing all sorts of faff just to keep myself from being sniped,
to be honest, Nathan, if you went over to Skype,
there must be a setting, because in the other account I wasn't snipeable, so there must be a way of doing it the same way as I had it before.
Nathan Oakley, ask Riley where the land is to the left of the cliff face. It's too low to be seen, and it sits in a band of look, I'll show you. This is where you have to reference. This is what what's his face, Rumpus or Pompous, I call him. This is what Pompous does not do. He does not relate anything to the evidence, and he'll start off talking about academia, which is exactly what he does. Can you see this little bit of land up here? This is evidence of looming. It's also evidence of refraction, and you can't tell which one it is either way, but it could be either or it could be both. This bit of risen land that appears to be here is blocking the low-lying land that's here, because all of the land that's on Isle of Man from this point left is very low. It's like less than 100 feet. It's like 50 feet, 80 feet. So I wouldn't expect to see all that when I can see this evidence of sky hovering, making this land float. So that's the answer to your question there, Flamingo Boot. All of the land is being sat behind that little tiny bit of refraction or looming or whatever atmospheric phenomena you want to call it, but it ain't sat behind no curve. Yeah, Pompous is a fool. I agree. You are saying we can see island, but not the land to the left of the cliff. Yes, Flamingo Boot. That's exactly what I'm saying. An effect of refraction. It's an effect of atmosphere of some kind that they call us whatever. I'd love to know Gem Panda's position if we see that flare. In fact, actually, Gem Panda, what will your position be if we see the flare when we ask him to press it? In fact, you can even pick the colour. We'll get a nice pink flare for you, Gem, or a blue one, or a green one. And if we see a green line going up from the horizon, and at the exact time that we ask him to press it, what will your position be, Jeremy? If the Earth is indeed flat, shouldn't we see some evidence of the land to the left of the cliff? No, Flamingo, I've just told you why you wouldn't, and it's not a cliff, it's a hill. Because it's sat on a layer of atmospheric effect that could be called refraction or looming. It could be called anything. But we can see land that we shouldn't be seeing. Shroominati. Anthony's lying to us all. No, Anthony's producing evidence to you all. Hello, Lewis. I love it when they are talking to themselves alone. Yeah, actually, I prefer talking to myself when it's alone, while Nathan's having a think. Don't bait us to bait you, Riley. Yep, I'll bait all of yous. You can all state your position, because if we see that flare, the only way you guys are going to get out of this is if for some reason he sets the flare off and it's just too small for us to see. Now, bear in mind that the flares are used for nautical purposes, and the Titanic had them and all that. I know the Titanic sank, but they set flares off, and we can see flares generally quite easily, even during the day. Although we might have to do it of an evening, improve our chances. But Frank, it's atmospheric lensing you are seeing. I agree. Ron Burgundy. Riley thinks anything he does could ever convince any sane person that the Earth is flat. Ron, you can't maintain your position if he sets a flare off at the furthest point north in the Isle of Man and we still see land behind it. Sorry, pal. You can't maintain your position because you can clearly see it'll be island. Sleeping Warrior, go back to swinging. I'll be definitely swinging. I'll be swinging from the rooftops with this one.
You know what you could do for the last... We've got about 4 minutes. So, could you summarise the position on the Isle of Man? In other words, what we actually see. So maybe just play your video from the start, and as it plays, just explain why this is an issue for the heliocentric model and what's coming up going forward.
Okay, I'll give you a running commentary. This is the part where I can't remember. Jeremy would have to tell us which one this is. I can't remember whether this is the tide on its way out or the tide on its way back, because Jeremy picked up on how dry the beach was and thought in some way I'd changed my position. Well, maybe I did change it, but I never said that I was in exactly the same place. But I'm in pretty much the same place. It's not that much different. So the reason why the beach was a little bit drier, Jeremy, was because the tide had been out for a bit longer. Anyway. Again, my position is this. I only did this to document what I could see. I did it because I had the camera and I couldn't see Blackpool Tower. Okay, that's why I didn't get anything else, because it was only for my own personal posterity purposes. I could see the Isle of Man, and I wanted to document how much of the Isle of Man I could see, but just in case just because it was there. I never even thought to check it. Ranty was the one that checked it, so you can blame Ranty. Ranty suggested to me that we could see Morgold Lighthouse, or what did he call it? However you pronounce it, Lighthouse. And we agreed, and Jeremy questioned why could we not see all of it. There's been numerous discussions about it, but we've kind of lost sight of the fact that this whole lighthouse should be behind the curve of the Earth. So whether we're not seeing this little diddy bit underneath is kind of an irrelevant point. Your maths tells us that none of it should be visible. So when I pan over to the left, Ranty identified that all these buildings down this edge here, he used Google Earth to identify that this was Douglas. We had a guy on this, earlier on tonight that said that was in fact Douglas, and that's Douglas Head, and he agrees, and he knows it because he lives there. So he can identify and he recognises his own area because he lives there. That's good enough for me to make me think that we got it right. However, all of this land from somewhere, maybe here, don't know exactly where, but somewhere along here, you cannot see. There's no land. There shouldn't be any land there. And my assertion is, and it always was, and it hasn't changed, Jeremy, is that this is Ireland, and Isle of Man stops somewhere. Now, people were saying, well, there's a bit of contrast missing there because if it's further away, it should be paler. Well, we can't tell because it's that low. It sits in this little band of refraction on the foreground here because it's that low. It's behind that much of a curve. Well, it's behind 1,000 feet worth of curve. None of the Isle of Man should be seen from this point because it's too far away. This means that we're left with an awful lot of land that is clearly unaccounted for. And my position is it's island. Chris Monk's modelled it three-dimensionally. He agrees it's island. There's only the ballers that argue because they have to relocate Ramsey as this Bala, whatever it was, which we don't believe is correct. It's miles out. In any event, as we progress up the island, we see Snaefell and we see the other mountain next to it. It drops back down, and then you can see that Isle of Man appears to stop on the evidence here. This is where Ramsey starts, and it's very, very, very flat land. It's like a runway slide, very, very flat. And then we pan across, and this is where I made my video, and this is the point I made. What on earth is this land? Because whatever this land is, if it's Isle of Man, it's very, very flat, and it stops at some point, and it stops in relative to this point here. It stops around about here anyway, maybe a little bit further over. We see a boat in the foreground, and the boat appears to be navigating its way around the Isle of Man. So we know the Isle of Man cannot go anywhere past this because there's a boat in the way. So wherever the Isle of Man, in fact, that's the proof in itself. We don't even need to identify the lighthouse. The fact that there's a boat circumnavigating the Isle of Man is more than enough, because the Isle of Man can only be to the left, and therefore there's no land. That's it in itself, Nathan. The boat proves that this has to be island. But all of this land, I assert, is island. It's 90 miles away. It's supposed to be behind. Let me get the curve counts out.
Once you do this calculation, now I'm gonna round the shot. So
10 seconds. Distance in miles was, I think it was 90 miles, and the viewer height was 30. We'll give them 100. No, well, I'll put it in at 50. It's supposed to be behind 3,700 feet. It's a mile of curvature, and we're seeing land. So the reality is, the boat proves that it can't be Isle of Man. So this is proof, gents. We are seeing the Isle of Man, and we are seeing island behind it. It's supposed to be behind more than a mile of curvature. It's the boat proves it. Nath, over to you, mate. You can wrap it up.
Cool. So with that, I'm going to say, first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for rejoining us on the backup channel. Be sure to subscribe to this backup channel if you have not done so already, and share the show. I've been Nathan Oakley. I'll see you all in the next video.